What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us on Tuesday night. It is Tuesday Night Titans, episode 120 for your November 11th, 2025. I am your host, JD from New York, as always, coming to you live tonight with the one and only Solid Monster. What's going on, brother?
Got cold, man, here in New York.
I know Santa Claus is going to be on his way fairly soon. Not ready for it.
No, it feels like the North Pole. I mean, we went from feeling like mid-spring, and we just leapt right into winter. We skipped over fall.
It was only 3 days ago, man. It was 60 degrees. I went out with a hoodie. Today I go out with a hoodie, and I need an extra jacket. Yeah,
I went out with no jacket the other day, and today my jacket wasn't big enough.
It's ridiculous. I can't stand the winter, man. It's already getting dark at 5:30. Had to put lights. I had to put Christmas lights up in the living room already before Thanksgiving because normally I lay down to take a nap during the day because we have all this pro wrestling to watch and want to feel refreshed. And it's like taking a nap in the nighttime. It's like I'm ready for bed instead of a nap. So I had to put some extra lighting in the living room. It's crazy.
'Tis the season. It's that time of year.
I know.
Get in the holiday spirit, JD.
I know.
Crank up the Mariah Carey.
Never. I'm the Grinch every year, all year round. That's me. But
you're blasting some Mariah Carey when you're off the air. You just won't tell anybody.
Is there a death metal version of Mariah Carey? Maybe I'll blast that.
Maybe. We should look and see. Maybe there is.
I got to look, yeah. But thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. We got a lot to get into. We had some major happenings happening on Monday Night Raw last night. One being John Cena is now a Grand Slam champion. He had a Grand Slam last night, and he is the new Intercontinental Champion. A lot of questions, more questions than answers, honestly, coming out of Monday Night Raw. What happens with the IC title? Is he going to hold the IC title all the way up until his final match in Washington, D.C.? Who will he be defending that championship against? Maybe next week at Madison Square Garden. Maybe at Survivor Series. Is he going to be a part of War Games? We don't know. So we'll definitely get into that discussion tonight. The Kabuki Warriors also won the Tag Team Championships on Monday Night Raw. And the women's and men's War Games seemingly are set. Not complete on the men's side, but we will definitely talk about how all that came together. Cody Rhodes is on the men's team. He doesn't really fit in there now with Rollins out and Drew McIntyre on hiatus here with his quote-unquote suspension. So unless he's coming back, I don't really feel the need that Cody has to be a part of War Games. We'll definitely touch upon that. And we got Ridge Holland news. We got Tegan Nox news. We got Andrade news. Blood and Guts is this Wednesday. We'll give you a preview of that. We got a loaded show, as always. So thank you guys very much for joining us here on episode 120. Follow us on social media. You know where to find us. Everything is linked conveniently for you down in the description. Hit that thumbs up. 1,000 likes is the goal, as always. Super chats are the absolute best way to support what I and Jason do on Tuesday night. So please go and do that if you definitely want to. It's not an obligation, but we always appreciate it. And leave a comment down below because that also helps us out in the YouTube algorithm. And that's exactly where we like to be. And we thank you guys for being here, man. I'm going to leave it up to this guy. There's a lot going on, man. Where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. We have a lot of WWE stuff and some AEW stuff. So why don't we be a little random here? Let's start with the Ridge Holland story.
Ooh,
why don't we start there?
All right. There was just an exclusive now. Actually, today, I just seen this now as it popped up on my timeline because I've been off Twitter all day. Apparently, there was an exclusive from Cultaholic about there being a foreclosure notice on his home, Ridge Holland's home, which led to the Twitter rant that he put up online on last week, rather. But we have a whole slew of news here because he went on a rant about why he was not being brought back. He was injured at a TNA show. It wasn't even a WWE show. He was injured on a TNA show. And then we get from that to starting a GoFundMe, and apparently a family member started the GoFundMe without his acknowledgement. And then he had to take the GoFundMe down. And then people were labeling him a scammer and completely twisting the guy's words. At some point in this entire thing, Jason, I did feel a little bad for him because all of this honestly stems, the hatred for him and the dislike for him on social media definitely stems from him injuring Big E and ending Big E's career. And I don't really know why people are still hanging up on that. It's just very weird. And I know you feel the same way. It's just weird that fans hold on to something like that, yet Big E is the most fucking joyous and positive guy in light of that situation out of everybody, has forgiven Ridge Holland, and holds no hard feelings at all towards what happened. But the fans hold on to it like Ridge Holland injured them in some way. Like, I don't really understand it.
Well, I mean, if you think back also to what happened with Sasha and Paige, it's kind of a similar thing where people would lose their minds online and they would go after, Mercedes, and they would say, oh, it's your fault. You ended her career. And, Paige was like, no, I don't blame her, but the fans do, because the fans, they get very maniacal about this stuff, and so that's just the way the wrestling fans can be, unfortunately, online. You're always going to get a lot of that. It's one of those things where I don't even think Big E holds any animus towards him. I think he said that before. It was one of those freak things that occurred. I mean, you could argue whether or not they should be doing moves like that outside on the floor, where the margin for error is very, very low. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's part of it with a lot of people. I talked about the whole thing on my end, and for me, it goes both ways, because it feels like more information like every few days comes out, like something that we didn't know about before.
Yeah.
And, with this thing, here's somebody who was on the main roster and he was making main roster money. You remember the Brawling Brutes?
Yes.
Yeah, they were on SmackDown. And so he was on the main roster for a while, and then he got demoted. I mean, people can use whatever word they want to use, but I mean, he got demoted, down to NXT. And he was no longer, after a certain amount of time, I don't know if it was instant, but he's no longer making main roster money at that point. Well, the company was going to let him go. And he was the one who basically said, he wanted to stick around. And I think now he says like they offered him a 3-year deal. He didn't want to sign a 3-year deal at the amount of money that he would have been making, because he didn't want to be locked into it. And that's how he ended up working. I think he got an extension for a year in NXT. And it's like, I understand people who would look at that and go, look, dude, like the writing was on the wall. Like they really weren't too terribly interested probably in keeping him around even a year ago. And so at what point does it become your responsibility to kind of prepare for the inevitability that may be coming, that maybe you are not going to be long, for this world working for this company? I can understand that. And maybe he should have had some sense of that in his head, but he took a huge pay cut from what he was previously making, and, has talked about how he was always asking, what can I do better? Am I doing, am I giving you what you want? And he wasn't getting a lot of feedback as far as, do this better, change this, try that. They were like, oh yeah, everything's great. And here we are now where, they alert him that he's going to be not let go, but they're not going to renew his contract when it expires. But what makes it messy is the injury. Because when he got hurt, it was in a match with Moose at a TNA taping. Yeah. So it wasn't even in a WWE ring, but he was working on behalf of WWE, because WWE can send you wherever they want. You don't get paid extra. It's not a separate thing. It's part of your WWE responsibilities. But it sucks that he got hurt in someone else's ring, and he's going to be out for a while, and then gets informed that, hey, your contract is up soon and we're not going to renew it. Because he's not going to be able to wrestle. He's not going to be able to work until probably the middle of next year. And he's talked about how he's probably going to have to get a neck fusion. And it sounds like WWE is going to pay for that as well, right? So they cover the cost of the surgery. They cover the cost of the rehab, which is kind of like the bare minimum, where it's like if someone gets hurt on your watch, you should do that. And it's not like they don't have the resources for
especially it's for another company that's not even your own.
Well, that's the thing. Like, he was working a match in TNA when this injury happened. The foot injury is the same one that AJ Styles had. And I remember AJ talking about how frustrating and painful it was. It's like right in the middle of your foot. And you have to relearn how to walk and run. So just the foot injury alone, like, he's not going to be medically cleared until well into the spring. Now you throw in a neck fusion and he's going to be out for a while longer. Sure, he can get another job. I see that as a criticism. We'll just get another job. The thing is, like, he's a pro wrestler. This is what he is trained to do. This is what he has been, doing now for however many years he's been doing it for. And the point is that at the very least, they should be paying him until he is healed from this foot injury. That's my main take on this. In my opinion, it's very scummy that the company is not going to pay the man until he is at least ready to, no pun intended, get back on his feet and then be medically cleared to go work. But because his contract was coming due, that's what makes this whole thing messy. They're not under any obligation to extend him or renew him. It would just be the right thing to do. Legally, they don't have to do it. So I see it both ways, where it's like, well, you probably should have seen this coming and you should have prepared for it maybe a little bit better. But man, it is shitty that he got hurt in the TNA ring, can't work, and now has no paycheck coming in. And then, of course, the tweet that you mentioned where he was venting frustration. And, you know, I think he ended it by saying, man, I'm like, now I know what it feels like to be totally fucked, or whatever it was that he said. And then he said it was like almost instant. He hears from someone in WWE saying, yeah, you know what? Your contract, you're in breach. And so he had like 2 weeks left. But yeah, you're not going to get paid now for these next 2 weeks. So it's like, yeah, you know what? I don't know what you would expect to happen when you publicly, you know, drag the company like that. That was not the smartest move on his part, but you can understand his frustration. Right? I mean, you would be frustrated. I would be frustrated.
Of course, the way that I would be thinking about it is if you send me to go to work for another promotion and I get injured there, and then you want to release me. Like, granted, like what you said,
they didn't release him though.
Well, they let him walk. They weren't going to renew him.
Sure.
I would feel the same way. Like, but you also put it in a way where the writing was on the wall. So like, it's up to him to either know or not know. Like, if you know, am I going to be back here? But I would also feel the same way and feel the same way about everything. Write everything out on social media the way he did, because I got injured for TNA. If I was not over there, I wouldn't be injured. I wouldn't be in any of this mess. I'd be able to walk, go work for another promotion, and continue to put food on my plate and a roof over my family's head. Now I can't wrestle. I can't do the one thing that's my profession here because of you people. I'd be pissed too.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the whole point. Like, he's not going to be able to get back in the ring and do anything physical for an extended period of time. He's got 3 kids. He's got a wife and 3 kids. He's got a house. Whether or not you think he's living in a house that's more extravagant than it needs to be is not even the point. You know, because there was someone who sent me a Zillow link that supposedly was a link to it.
God.
I'm like,
really?
we really don't need to be going down this road. That's not even the point. Like, that's not
someone found his actual home?
I'm assuming. I didn't investigate to see if it was, in fact, his home. But
God, you people are fucking weird, man. Holy
I mean,
shit.
there's the mere thought of doing that. It's like, that's not the point. You're missing the point here. There are lessons to be learned from this, for sure. And that was my other takeaway from this, which is that it could be a learning experience, not just for Ridge Holland, but really for anybody in WWE that is not a massive star on that roster. And maybe even AEW as well. Yeah, we've heard stories of Tony just, you know, letting people's contracts expire and then, you know, not hearing from anybody. But in WWE, we've heard about this time and time again for years. They have these waves of like mass releases. Now it's like, well, they may let your contract expire if they're not interested in using you. What are you going to do when that time comes? Everybody on that roster, just about, is expendable. If you're Ridge Holland, what has Ridge Holland really been doing over the last year that would have given him the idea that, hey, you know, I've got real job security here? Like, in WWE, there really is no such thing.
Well, he did wrestle Trick Williams for the NXT Championship.
Yeah, but so what? Like, that was one program.
He also pitched to win that championship and then have him drop it to Obafemi.
You can pitch whatever you want, but you know, it was clear that he was not really a priority for them. And he was not someone that was protected. He was not somebody who was getting, you know, a ton of television time. It was pretty clear, you know, that his time there was probably going to be very limited. He may not make it back to the main roster.
You know, it's one of those things where if you get, he was in NXT, got called up to the main roster. If it's one of those situations where you're on the main roster and then you go back down to NXT, I think that's the nail in the coffin there. Like, you have a very short window with WWE, and at that point, I think you know what's next. Because it happened to Baron Corbin, it happened to Mustafa Ali. Yeah, I mean, there's a track record of guys that go from the main roster back down to NXT, and then they're no longer there after 6 months.
And those guys were Ali for sure was featured more heavily than Ridge Holland was. I mean, Ali at the time that he was let go was literally about to challenge for a championship in NXT. So again, when I say that there is no such thing as job security and nobody really is safe, unless you're like a Roman Reigns or Cody or someone at that level, they can get rid of you at any moment. or they could let your contract expire because you've, outlived your value to them. And I think there's lessons to be learned there. I pointed out two names, for when that happens and you end up where you have to venture out to the independent scene and try to build your name up. You look to someone like a Killer Cross or a Matt Cardona and you look what they've been able to do. They have this incredible relationship with their fans. They know how to leverage social media. People talk about them. They get their name out there, and they're killing it on the independent scene.
I think Scarlett said just came out. I don't know if it was yesterday or today, but they're making more money now on the indies than they were in WWE. Good for them.
Yeah. They're making more money now than they were in WWE. So I think that you use people like that as models to just prepare for the future, be more active on social media and cultivate a relationship with the fans, because you just never know when you may have to tap into that. And sometimes if your goal is to go back to WWE, look at a Drew McIntyre. Sometimes you have to leave and grow your name and grow your brand and make them call you and make them come seek you out. And maybe one day you end up working there again. But the whole situation is just a giant mess. And then you get into the GoFundMe stuff. And it was not. So let's just straighten this out. The GoFundMe was not a scam set up by some random person. The GoFundMe was set up by his mother. But this is the part that just gets me. The GoFundMe was up for like 4 days before he posted that comment that he posted it might have been on Saturday, where he put a statement out of his social media, letting everybody know that I was not aware this was going live. I didn't give my approval for it. And it's like, you let 4 days go by. And there's no way he didn't know about this, because
especially with the way he's been active, he had to know about it.
He's been active. He just set up a YouTube channel. Like, he's been on social media. Colleagues of his were donating. I don't know if you saw that Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green was one of them, yeah. Omas gave $1,000 a month, I saw.
Yeah, so they set up recurring $1,000 monthly donations. You cannot tell me that in 4 days or even 3 days, he would not have known about this. Why did it take so long for him to come out and put a statement out and let people know, I didn't approve of this, and so here's how we're going to handle this? Like, dude, of course that's going to set off alarm bells.
It's very weird, because I'm assuming that you have to link an email to start a GoFundMe, and that with every donation that goes into the GoFundMe, don't you get an email alert or a text alert or something like that someone else donated to your cause? I'm assuming so, right?
I don't know, because I haven't set one up, but even if not, like you said, he's obviously been active on social media, and he would have been made aware of this. So I think that was just very bizarre. And then there was some confusion over his it was not a very well worded statement that he put out, where he said that he was going to basically pause the campaign. And it's still up right now, but it says donations have been paused. He said it might take up to 24 hours for it to take effect, and that once he's recouped the money, recoup is the word that he used, he would be donating that amount to charity. And so people read that and said, well, wait a minute, when you recoup the money, why don't you just refund it to the people who donated, and then they can do whatever they want with it?
Because he needs the money now. That's why.
Well, so what he did was he clarified his statement. Basically what he's saying is, when I am able to work again and I make whatever the amount, I think they donated, it was up over $10,000, I think, when it was paused. Once he's able to work again and he's recouped the equivalent of what the campaign raised, he will take that amount and donate it to charity. It was not worded well. And of course, if what he was doing was just taking the money and just donating it to a charity, it's very noble, but that's also kind of fucked up, because people donated to you to assist you and your family. So what he's saying is, of course, he's going to take that money. He's going to use it for him and his family. But when he's able to work again and he makes 10 grand or whatever it is, he will then donate it to a charity. That's what he has since clarified. But the whole thing has been a mess. It's been one misstep after another, from the tweet that got him terminated 2 weeks early to that statement. The whole thing has just been a mess. I think there are lessons to be learned here. It's just a very shitty situation, and if he has gotten a foreclosure notice on his house, that's terrible, because again, he's got a family, he's got kids, and should he have seen this coming? Maybe so, but this is the situation they're in now, and he can't work. He cannot go out and wrestle and make money in the way that he was making money before. That's the whole point.
Well, yeah, I mean, the latest to this is that Cultaholic put out an exclusive here behind their website, and apparently the rant that he put out had to do with his financial issues and the fact that he got a foreclosure notice. He says to Tom Campbell of Cultaholic, taking it right back after my contract was due for renewal previously when I went to NXT, they offered me a 3-year deal at a 50% pay cut. With everything financially, I'm like, I can't tie myself in for 3 years for that. It's impossible. So I can do 1 year extension and I'll try to make it work. We'll cut back where we can and try. And even then, that's what started the financial issues there, because it's just 3 kids and everything that people don't understand what you have to pay for. It's health insurance. Don't forget, we've got to pay for our own green cards. Everything from insurances to houses to mortgages comes at a premium when you're not an actual resident. You're a higher risk, so you pay a higher premium for that. So the house, we got a foreclosure notification on the house. So I just took to Twitter and I just needed to vent. I'm not going to vent to my wife. She doesn't need it. She knows. She doesn't need me pissing and moaning. So I just typed it out. It was kind of like a way of coping. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have let my emotions get to me. Then obviously, what's the old saying? Blow your feathers, you get your ass tickled, is what he said.
I've never heard of that phrase before. That's a good one.
Me neither, but
say the what was it again? Say that again. I'm going to use that one.
Blow your feathers, you get your ass tickled.
Blow your feathers, you get your ass tickled. Okay, I don't think I'm going to use that in my everyday conversations. But.
He went on to say this last thing. We're trying our best to restructure the mortgage, but that's a whole process. We got to prove certain things, so we're trying to restructure that. The goal is to kind of downsize, but people think you can do things immediately, and you can. I had 4 weeks to know when the income would stop. 4 weeks when you've got overheads and stuff. They just don't go away, and you can't change them overnight. So we're just going to try and restructure the mortgage and wait for a verdict on that from the mortgage company. We just have to wait and see, Menzies told Cultaholic. I genuinely feel bad for him, but you know he was the vehicle for his own embarrassment on social media. And listen, we've all been there. We've all vented when we shouldn't have. We should have just kept our mouth shut. But you know, sometimes you need an outlet. Sometimes you need to just let it all out. No one's going to listen to you. That's why therapy is a great thing. And I don't really understand why everybody is on his case. Like, sure, it could have been worded a different way, but like the way that I took the tweet about the GoFundMe is I immediately knew that he was going to use the money and then pay the money back. But like you said, he worded it in a different way. And everybody, like, the comment section was like as cancerous as anything I've ever seen. And people were just all over him and just blowing him up. Like, at the end of all this, I genuinely felt bad for the guy, because you go back to the time he got injured and it wasn't even on their show. And it's not even something that he had control over. He did what he was supposed to do. He was being a good employee. And then one thing led to another, and we are where we are. But
he was being a good independent contractor.
Yes, he was.
Because if he was an employee, he would be able to get workman's compensation, which he cannot have. So, but look, they are covering the cost of the surgery and the rehab.
Yes, he did say that,
which they should. But the issue is that he cannot work, and therefore he no longer has any income coming in. At least not from his end. I don't know if his wife works. I don't know what their family situation is. Yeah, but I'm sure when they bought their house, you know, he was making a certain amount of money, and then that changed, and that decreased and evolved over time. You know, it's funny when he mentions turning down a 3-year offer and taking a 1-year extension. It's kind of the Triple H thing, where he tells the story when he was in WCW. I think it was Eric Bischoff offered him, I think it might have been a 2-year deal. And he actually countered him and said, just make it 1 year, or it was like he was going to take a lesser deal. And basically the idea was like, if after that 1 year, like, I'm not worth, you know, this much, then I shouldn't be working here. You know, like, he's taking a chance on himself. Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes it doesn't. You know, in this case, it didn't pay off. And now he's in a tough situation. And I wasn't going to beat up on him beyond, again, I think the stuff with the GoFundMe, and just as long as it took for him to say something, is just weird. But I'm not going to kick the guy while he's down. You know, it's a shitty situation. I hope it all works out. And who knows, maybe one day, you know, if he gets back out there and works his, you know, way through the independent scene, I don't know what his plans are. as far as that goes. I don't know if he may get a contract somewhere else. Who knows? One day he may end up back in WWE. But WWE, they operate, under their own set of rules, and you've got to look out for yourself, and you've got to do a better job, I think, of protecting yourself, preparing for a situation like that. So when that time comes, you can hit the indie scene and really, try to make a name for yourself, generate a buzz, have a built-in fan base that's willing to support you and pay to see you. I think there's a lot that can be learned from some of the people that are killing it right now in the indie scene.
Yeah, I wish him nothing but the best. I don't know what his future plans are, but I know if I'm in a situation like that, I'm going to use all this negative energy and turn it into a positive, and I'm going to use that as fuel to hopefully get me to where I got to be. So I wish him nothing but the best, and that's the Ridge Holland situation there. We will go from that to this, and Jason and I talked about this on the sound check, and that's Side Gunn. And this is another one of those weird situations because all we know is that he's a huge wrestling fan, and he wanted to give back to the business that he loves, and he's a very acclaimed and accomplished rapper, and apparently his relationship with WWE now is severed after being removed from Monday Night Raw in Buffalo. Now, we were talking about this, and we were kind of doing some investigation work on the sound check, and we didn't really come up with a solid reason as to why Side Gunn was kicked out of Monday Night Raw in Buffalo, which we found out was back in March. So all of a sudden, he was kicked out of Monday Night Raw, and for reasons, Jason, that we were talking about, he was using WWE images of Ted DiBiase and Virgil. He's got a new album out, and a lot of the song titles are names of pro wrestlers, whether they are here on this earth now or deceased. One of them was Mankind. One of them was Tino Santana. One of them was based off Nikolai Volkov.
I just heard, and this is not confirmed. I heard he was working on a track called JD from NY206. I can't confirm that, but...
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself a heel, but not in the way that WWE thinks he's one. But
JD from Utah 206. He was working hard on those lyrics. I don't know if he still is.
Well, I'll take Utah then, wherever they were before last night on Monday Night Raw in Boston. Wherever that was, they were pretty good. But apparently, according to this story, he's always had WWE's blessing to use their intellectual property in his work. This is coming from Cage Side Seats, by the way. That's resulted in a few legal letters being sent to Side Gunn's way and may have been a factor in him being removed from Raw in his hometown of Buffalo. That was in March. Their previous Monday night was in Buffalo on July 10th, 2023. So Gunn's released a trio of Heels Have Eyes albums. So he's got 1, 2, and 3. The first one in April had a picture of WWE Hall of Famer Ted DiBiase. The August follow-up had a feature of DiBiase's bodyguard, Virgil. The third one was to have both wrestling legends, but the recent promotion for Heels Have Eyes 3 in New York's Times Square seems to have led to another takedown notice. And it seems like he was so upset about being kicked out of Monday Night Raw, he went on a Twitter rant of his own. I'm not going to read through it all because it's a lot. But he basically said in oh so many words that he paid $5,000 to sit front row. He went viral for spending $50,000 on suites. He says he's very disrespected. He's heartbroken. He tried to have conversations about the situation, and he goes into saying that he's a young entrepreneur that can afford these seats to watch pro wrestling, and somehow someone got bothered by this in his own city, nonetheless. And he said he was disrespected in a way that he's not going to end up supporting WWE anymore. He owns his own wrestling promotion, Fourth Rope Wrestling, which is currently represented right now by Enzo Amore Hardys, are their tag team champions, and Zilla Fatu. So he has definitely got his name in the pro wrestling space. But there's a lot that we're not understanding about this, Jason. There's not enough information to really kind of come to a conclusion on this. Why was he kicked out of Monday Night Raw? I mean, they're just not going to kick somebody out for using their likeness. I mean, he had to do something else is going on there, but we don't really know what that is.
Yeah, that's why I didn't cover it on my end on the podcast this weekend, because I feel like we're just not privy to some information that we kind of need here, because it doesn't make any sense. They would have just blindly kicked him out of Raw for no reason, especially if it was back in March. I mean, that's the thing. Like, we're talking about March. So we didn't hear anything about this until now. I'm not sure what reason WWE would have had to kick him out of Raw, especially if we're talking about earlier in the year, unless, again, it had to do with some other underlying stuff going on where, he was using certain likenesses without their permission. Because I can understand, like I pointed out to you, that giant billboard in Times Square that had the $1 Million Man and Virgil.
I'm looking at it right now.
And it's like, I can understand WWE having an issue with that if, let's say, that was done without their consent. And,
it's a great fucking fit. It's a great photo.
but you would think it's like an official WWE billboard. I mean, it's... So I can understand it. I mean, if he was using images and likenesses for an album, there may be certain channels that you have to go through to get approval for stuff like that. If that wasn't happening, then, look, I'm sure WWE saw that or TKO or whoever it was and took issue with it. I have no idea if somebody there has some personal vendetta against him, if he's, because he's done work maybe with AEW before. Who knows? We don't know. That's the point. Something about this just seems very strange to me. Obviously, he's a big fan. It sucks for him that he feels like he was just shit on by the company, right? That I'm sure that doesn't feel too good. I would be upset also. But I just feel like there's some stuff here that we're just not aware of. Like, and maybe he isn't either. But there's something else going on here because it just doesn't make sense to me. Especially him being kicked out of the show. Like, something doesn't make sense there. Like, why? What would be the reason for that? I'm not saying he's lying and he wasn't kicked out, but like, there had to be a specific reason why that happened, and we're not being told why that is.
It doesn't matter who you are, how much money you have, and what type of fame you hold. You are expendable to WWE. So if they're not going to get anything out of you, goodbye. Is what it is. So we will keep you guys posted on that if there's any more additional information. But there's very little to go off there. But that was the situation with West Side Gunn. And I know some of you guys reached out to me during the stream last night if we were going to talk about that tonight. So that was for you guys. Really nothing else to follow up there on. We went from Ridge Holland to West Side Gunn to this. I guess we'll go right into this because this was another one of the big drama stories.
Did you see the Britt Baker video that she posted on her social media?
I did not. What was it about?
She was complaining about how cold it was in Florida, and I could relate to that because she's like, basically in the video she says, I think she's sitting in her car, and she's like, what happened to me? She's like, I used to live in. She comes from Pennsylvania.
Yes.
She might have been born in like Punxsutawney or something like that. She goes, I used to be a badass when it came to the cold. It didn't bother me. I grew up there. And now I've been in Florida for so long, and it got down into the, I don't know what it was, maybe upper 40s, low 50s or something. And she was like, I can't handle the cold. I don't know what happened to me. I'm such a wuss now. I went soft. I'm like, me too. I can't handle the cold now either.
No, I don't leave the house.
When I was younger and I was a kid, I mean, it didn't bother me too much, especially in the winter. You go out in the snow and everything. And now it's like, when it gets really cold, like I feel it in my bones.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm not an 80-year-old man either. And it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't like the cold and I don't handle it the way that I used to. So I saw that video. I'm like, I don't live in Florida like she does. I'm sure in Florida, 50 would be considered cold. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. Something happens as you age where the cold becomes your enemy.
I don't leave the house in the wintertime. I was in Orlando around that time of the year, November, December. And I went to an NXT taping when they were still at Full Sail. And I remember watching Johnny Gargano and Velveteen Dream for the North American Championship. We sat through a whole 4 tapings. Met a couple of fans of the podcast out there. Met Morrow. And I even said, what the fuck is with this weather? We're in Orlando. I got palm trees above me. It's 40 fucking degrees. What's going on here? Apparently it's normal. I didn't know that before because I don't really frequent Orlando or Florida. I love Florida, but to feel 40-degree weather when I'm coming from New York to get away from the cold, I go right into the cold. I just found it to be a little weird. But it is what it is. But she's coming from Pittsburgh, and now she's in Orlando. She's suffering. I mean, 40 degrees, I would say, is not that bad, but I'm assuming it gets a lot colder in Pittsburgh in the cold of the winter months, December, January, February.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So. But yeah, that's the only time we're actually going to see Britt Baker of late is if you catch these videos on social media. That's the only way apparently we're going to see her.
Keep them coming. Keep them coming. We went from West Side Gunn's drama to this drama in AEW, and I looked at this and I didn't really, I don't know, man. I was a lot more confused about this than any of the other stories, to be quite honest with you, because there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of contradiction here. You don't know who's telling the truth. Can't really trust a lot of the pro wrestling media. One's going to side with one side and not really give you the full story. So Nixon Newell, Tegan Nox, and Miranda Alize, they were on AEW Collision, and they interrupted a Tay Mello and Anna Jay promo, and they were going to set up a match between those two, basically to set up Anna Jay and Tay Mello to be at least a reputable team in the tournament, to give them a win before going into the tournament. So then we get a situation where they are supposed to wrestle, and they do on the following week. They wrestle Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir. So Marina Shafir's teaming with Megan Bayne because Penelope Ford is out injured, and they didn't want to take Megan Bayne out of the tournament, so they just found Marina Shafir to be her tag team partner. And again, this was another enhancement match to make sure that Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir have at least some legitimacy going into the tournament. So apparently I don't know if you watched the match, Jason, or seen some of the clips on social media. It looks like there was some miscommunication in the match. Even the report said from Fightful that Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir feel like they didn't really, the match didn't go off the way that they wanted. From my vantage point, it looked like, at least from me, that both Nixon Newell and Miranda Alize kind of sandbagged Megan Bayne during a German suplex spot. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, she still muscled them up for it.
Yeah, she did.
But she did not look happy about it afterwards. But yeah, it looked like they sandbagged her.
So this is all coming from Fightful. It's all kind of condensed here. Hopefully you guys follow along. So PW Insider originally reported that Miranda Alize and the former Tegan Nox, now Nixon Newell, refused to lose to Anna Jay and Tay Mello. Fightful Selectors heard that actually was not the case. Instead, both of them requested more than 3 minutes. They were only planned 3 minutes for the match. However, they were told by then the time for the show had been budgeted out and completely set. Fightful was told that the two then left the show about an hour before it started. There was an immediate and immense reaction internally from AEW personalities and staff. One AEW staffer told Fightful that both Newell and Alize are talented, but that there was a push to help Newell out after she revealed that she wasn't getting many independent bookings. Another said that they were disappointed to hear about the situation, as this seemed out of character for Newell specifically. So Maya World and Hion were provided the opportunity to fill in for them on short notice against Tay Mello and Anna Jay, and they got a lot of praise for doing so. Fightful were told that they were over the moon about the last-minute opportunity. Why wouldn't they be? They're on Ring of Honor specifically, so to be on TBS and AEW Collision, they were probably fucking super excited. So they got the last-minute opportunity, and they didn't think that they were going to be used. They were brought to the building, and just like, you know, a lot of talent back there, men and women, they're brought, not used. So they were called upon, and they obviously jumped at the opportunity. AW sources we spoke to, says Sat, claimed if Nixon and Miranda did say they'd rather other talent get the opportunity, things probably would have ended up a lot better. AEW sources and talent reached out and claimed that this wasn't the first issue with Newell and AEW, as there is conflicting information emerging about how the debut match went. Alize and Newell competed against Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir, which we just mentioned, and word going around is that Newell wasn't happy that the match was being constructed as it was. One of the points of contentions was that Megan Bayne needed to sell for Newell and Alize, which at that point of establishing a new dominant team, especially one going into the tag team tournament, wasn't really a decision Megan Bayne could make on her own. AEW talent usually know to clear that with coaches or producers when facing unsigned talent. One longtime friend of Newell chalked it up to Newell being excited about her debut and then disappointed that things would end so quickly. Another said that it felt like Newell wanted to get the match over with because of how things went setting it up. Another source indicated that the frustration on Megan Bayne's face during the match, which we just talked about moments ago, was legitimate, as she was frustrated as what appeared to be a lack of cooperation on some of the spots. Fightful did reach out to Nixon Newell, who denied there was a disagreement on the previous week's show, saying, "We had no disagreement. Miranda and I are really the only ones that have the details about how yesterday went. When we elaborated on the details of the disagreement, we'd not gained a response as of the time of the publishing of the article." So there was an update following this because they went live on their Twitch stream, and Newell addressed the harassment that she had gotten, death threats that she had gotten from fans upset about this decision. So they said AEW told them, thank you. There was no negativity at all or harsh walkouts or about the harsh walkout supposedly that was reported. And they supposedly spoke to everyone involved and that they were told that they were free to leave if they wanted. They also claimed that many people there were in agreement that 3 minutes was too short for them in that particular match. She obviously addressed the death threats, saying that it was lovely to wake up to death threats again for standing up for what we believe in, looking out for the company. I wouldn't have used that terminology there. You're not looking out for the company if you're disagreeing about the match layout. But Newell said this during her Twitch stream. I had multiple today. I got 3 today, and it's always with the IWC, so it is what it is. And she said she also has at least 1 year left in pro wrestling. There was also a report about backstage reaction, which was a follow-up. We'll get into that in a second. But, you know, the whole thing with this, Jason, and I said this. I made a specific solo video on this. I look at this as, and it's actually frustrating as a fan who watches AEW television for the last 6 years and covers all the shows. You know, there are plenty of talent on that roster that are not being used. And they sit in the back, and we as a fan base are asking where this one is, where's that one, where's this one? You know, I look at Sky Blue, who isn't really in a position, you know, when she first got started. They obviously wanted to push her. There was something there. She's attractive. She's got a great look. She's learning television at the time. And now you see where she is now and how much more of a solid talent and worker she is. She's got a direction. She's got a character. She never bitched or moaned about anything. And I'm using her as an example, and I'm sure there are many other examples, but she never bitched and moaned. She did what was asked of her. The company let her out there to do what she needed to do to get herself over. Now, I don't know how you feel about it, but is 3 minutes too short? Sure. But I think Nixon Newell and Miranda Alize know exactly what they're being brought in for and what their role is. And if they did that and were team players and did what they were asked to do out there for the AEW talent, which you are not. You're not even a part of the company, not signed to the company. I don't know where they get demands thinking that I want more than 3 minutes. No, you're given television time on a nationally televised product where you haven't been in a while. You do what you're asked to do. If they went out there and actually became team players, one opportunity might have led to the next, and who knows, they both might have been signed, being that AEW now is going to get into the women's tag team realm, and they're going to need bodies and names and solid teams to make sure that division gets off on a legitimate start. So I look at it as, sure, they wanted 3 minutes, and they were told, yeah, you're allowed to leave. The whole problem is not even the fucking 3 minutes. The problem is you walked out. You walked out of the fucking company after the company gave you an opportunity, and you walked out and you're making all these different fucking stories about it. So if you, like the report said from SAP, if they said this isn't going to work for us, give this opportunity to somebody else, and then they left the company scrambling to go find fucking talent because you walked out with no prior acknowledgement, the fuck do you want the company to do? They look selfish. They look like they embarrassed themselves, and I don't even know if any company is going to want to bring them in just based off this one behavioral issue. Like, I wouldn't want them in my locker room. Like, you are there to do a job, and you do that job in hopes of getting another opportunity. This was their first impression, and there's not going to be any more after this, so they basically fucked themselves over.
Yeah, I liked, I think it was Alize on her IG stories, posted some videos of them. They were, I guess they went to a restaurant after they left, and it was showing Tegan drinking beers. And I think the caption was something like "no better place to be on a Saturday night" or something like that. So
fucking stupid, man.
You could not have handled the situation any more poorly than they did. I don't know whose great idea it was to do that, or if it was a joint decision on their part, but that's the quickest way to burn a bridge. And I think the thing that really just makes me shake my head is it was in June that, you know, Nixon was commenting about how she was suffering from a severe lack of bookings. And she said it was a nightmare. She was just trying to find work, and nobody would book her on shows. And so here you have an opportunity to do something with AEW. And is 3 minutes long enough? No, but 3 minutes is not long enough to get yourselves over. That was not the point of the match, right? The point of the match was to make somebody else, look strong, not necessarily them, but their opportunity perhaps would have eventually come because, as you mentioned Sky Blue, there have been a number of people on the AEW roster right now who did the exact same thing over the years, and then eventually they got a contract, and then they became stars on the roster. Takeshita, Powerhouse Hobbs, Willow Nightingale. Like, there have been other names that have gone through the exact same thing, did what they were told because they were looking for an opportunity and did not want to burn a bridge. They wanted to show, okay, sure, yeah, we could be team players. And after doing that for a while, eventually they got signed. And perhaps that would have been them, but now I doubt that that's going to be the case, and they have nobody to blame for that but themselves. It was very, very short-sighted and stupid. Now her statement from Nixon is that, well, I only want to wrestle for another year, and then I'm done. Okay, well, then maybe she doesn't give a shit about being signed to a contract. But it was a very dumb thing to do. And then to post these very vague tweets where they were kind of alluding to something without telling us their side of the story. All that's going to do is fan the flames even more, get people speculating and talking about it. And then I watched, part of that Twitch stream. I didn't see the entire thing, but from what I saw, I don't think that Alize said anything. She was busy playing video games the whole time. And Tegan was pretty much the one doing all the talking. And look, she's, saying that she got death threats from people. And if that's the case, then that's obviously awful and stupid, and people should not be doing that.
And nobody should be surprised that it's coming from that fan base, but that's another story.
Well, the whole wrestling fan base, I mean, you have people with poison minds and souls. So, I mean, it could be coming from anybody at any given time. Look at some of these people stalking some of the WWE women. That tells you everything you need to know about some of these folks. But yeah, it was just a very, very stupid thing for them to do. The 3 minute aspect of it isn't even really the point, like you said. I hope it was worth it because I don't think they're going to be invited back anytime soon. But hey, I know Russo now is apparently booking for the Juggalos, and perhaps there'll be an opportunity there for them. They could paint their faces and they can go over there. So
I was waiting for you to mention that because I got the Drew McIntyre story where he may be a Juggalo because Vince Russo wants him with Juggalo Pro Wrestling, bro.
Maybe Tegan can be a Juggalo. Maybe that's. She just wants to have fun in her last year, so maybe she can go have fun over there. I don't know, but it's just very strange that someone who only a few months ago was really complaining about, in her own words, a severe lack of bookings, would get an opportunity to just show up like this. And it wasn't like they had video packages or anything, because again, they had no contract. That was the other thing that was so dumb about it. You're not even signed. You don't have the graphic, that says you're all elite or signed to Ring of Honor or wherever they would have ended up. And so to pull a stunt like this obviously didn't do them any favors. She's had her own injury issues. I don't think that, Tony Khan is going to be breaking down their door to have them back for another match.
No, so that was that story this week. Just stupid and ridiculous. And obviously everybody thought the same thing. It was stupid to do. Alize went on X and said, we have so much to say. Yeah, you do. And you did.
Apparently she didn't. She was playing video games the whole time. She didn't have a whole lot to say.
It is what it is, man. That what not to do if you're a pro wrestler joining a company for the first time and looking for a contract. Don't do it.
There have been a lot of things happening over the last week or two in wrestling that I think if you are a wrestler, there are lots of lessons to be learned on what not to do.
Yes.
So take note. It's going to be to your benefit to pay attention to what's going on, and don't do that.
And it's sad, too, because Tegan Nox, I was a big fan of Tegan Nox during the Mae Young Classic. She got injured. Sure. Michael Cole raved about her, man. The shiniest wizard. Sure. I mean, it was just crazy. But, I at some point you felt bad for her. She wrestled Becky Lynch, I remember, on Raw. And then all of a sudden she's teaming with Shotzi. And then everybody gets released in that big round of budget cuts. And she was unfortunately part of it.
Well, again, and she's had like 3 or 4 torn ACLs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's got glass knees, and she's always going to have that hanging over her head. So that doesn't help either, because you get a reputation after a while, for being injury prone. Rightly or wrongly, you do get that rep that follows you around. So, again, maybe this would have been an opportunity for her to prove a lot of the doubters wrong and You mentioned the tag team titles that are going to be, debuting shortly. And if they want to build up a division with different teams, they probably would have fit right in there eventually. But now they're not going to get that shot, and they have nobody to blame but themselves for that.
No, that's a sad situation there. Like Jason said, do not follow in these individuals' footsteps if you're a pro wrestler. Just be respectful and be appreciative of the opportunities that come your way, because there are so many people there fucking dying for an opportunity. They got it, and what'd you do for it?
They slotted two people in there very quickly. I'm sure they were more than happy to take that spot. Yeah. If you don't want that spot, believe me, there will be somebody else there just more than happy to take it away from you.
Yes. There was another story on Andrade, and this happened today. Apparently, it was titled, "Unhappy Andrade El Idolo reportedly walks out of a wrestling show." This is coming from Dave Meltzer and The Observer. So please take this with a grain of salt, because he was under fire today for Drew McIntyre not filming a movie until April of 2026, and that's not the reason why he was quote-unquote suspended on Friday Night SmackDown. Andrade reportedly walked out of a pro wrestling show in Mexico City on November 7th. The incident occurred at the Crash 14th anniversary show in Tijuana. The former WWE United States champion was announced for the event and was present at the meet and greet to sign autographs for fans, but Andrade did not appear on the show and left the venue. Meltzer reported on The Observer that Andrade walked out because he was quote-unquote unhappy, although the specific reason for his unhappiness is currently unknown. Andrade was on the show, says Dave, probably the main attraction on the show. There were signings and autographs, and then he left. The only thing that we heard was that he was unhappy. His non-compete is only in the United States, so he can work in Tijuana and in Mexico City. And obviously, as you guys are well aware, because we talked about it individually and both on this show, Andrade right now is under a 1-year non-compete, which I'm assuming is hopefully being rectified in the time from now until when he gets back into the ring.
Well, I don't know if you saw that David Otunga, he's been making the rounds recently, and apparently he and Andrade connected.
Yeah.
And I guess he was giving him some advice. What they talked about, I don't know. So we don't know if it's a situation where he's going to pursue, some sort of active challenge against the non-compete, or if, those discussions are ongoing. But apparently they spoke, and Otunga was giving him some advice on maybe what he should be doing.
Well, I mean, if that's his new legal representation, good for him. But Andrade made light of this situation and said something in Spanish on social media, and said that, he walked out and went to the nearest Chinese restaurant, and everybody was having a chuckle about it. Roosh was in the comment section. But Jason and I talked about this also during the sound check, because we were going over what topics we were going to talk about, and this was one of them. And Jason mentioned that he is the Crash World Champion. So I just find it to be weird. Jason finds it to be weird that he is the world champion of this promotion and not wrestling on the show. Now, again, we don't follow Crash. I don't know what the fuck was going on there. He may have not been booked for the show. We don't know. Dave obviously didn't do his due diligence here and go over if he was at the show and supposed to wrestle or not. He could have been there just signing autographs, and that was it for him. And he wanted to go home. Maybe he was really hungry. We don't, again, another story where we don't have a lot of information, and a lot of people are now spreading misinformation and thinking Andrade walked out yet of another company where he is the world champion. So you don't know what to believe in. All I could say is just very tread lightly with these stories, please. We don't know. So I don't know if Jason has anything to add about that, but, it's Andrade.
We're talking about all of these different stories, and I think every single story that we have talked about so far, I am still left with questions, feeling like we do not have enough in the way of details to know the full scope of the entire story.
Everybody's going to make a big deal about it because he, quote unquote, disappeared from WWE television, and now he is with another promotion and then supposedly walked out unhappy. So people are going to obviously use it for clicks and likes and engagement and just spread misinformation, which I feel bad for him at this point if it's nothing, but we don't know. We don't know. Content's going to be made. Tweets are going to be made and sent. So the better thing is to just not even engage it in at all. I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of it, but we don't have any more information on Andrade. But that was the latest there. And again, we will keep you updated on when his supposed non-compete situation is rectified. Where do we go here? We got a couple other non-WWE stories here. Hiroshi Tanahashi. He is getting his final opponent. And I know Jason talked about this on his end and made a pitch for his final opponent, and that pitch was the one that they went with, Jason. So I'll leave this to you. Hiroshi Tanahashi's final opponent is confirmed for Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, this is going to be it for him on January 4th. Boy, a lot of people are going to be retiring within a short period of time, right? We have Cena coming up on December 13th. We have Tanahashi on January 4th. AJ Styles has said that next year will be his last year. Remember Jeff Jarrett earlier this year said this was supposed to be his last year?
I would rather not go back to that, no.
We have not heard anything about Jeff Jarrett. Is this, in fact, his final year and he's just going to kind of go out with a whimper? I don't know. I find that hard to believe. But Tanahashi, I do believe, is done. His knees have been done for a while, so it's time. He's still going out there, though, and having, quality matches with people. January 4th is going to be it. They had a show in Anjo in Japan, which happens to be where Okada was born. And that day this past weekend happened to be Okada's birthday. And I said, what a perfect place for Okada to show up and confront Tanahashi. And that's exactly what happened. And he confronted him and he challenged him to a match at Wrestle Kingdom, and Tanahashi accepted. So it will be one last match between Tanahashi and Okada. In my opinion, Tanahashi's greatest rival, Okada's greatest rival. They've had some great matches at Wrestle Kingdom before, 3 of them in the past. This will be the 4th one, I believe. And the comparison that I made is it's like John Cena and Randy Orton, except good. And yeah, I mean, some people hate it when I say that, but sorry, most of the matches between Cena and Randy Orton were not that great. Not the case with Tanahashi and Okada. He really is, I think, the perfect final opponent. I know a lot of people were hoping maybe WWE would, make a deal for Nakamura to be his last opponent. If Nakamura wanted to be Tanahashi's final opponent, he might have had that chance had he not re-signed that last contract with WWE. So, it is what it is. They don't work with every other promotion unless there's a mutually beneficial, relationship there. They have the stuff with TNA. They have the stuff, well, they work with AAA. They fucking bought AAA. But they don't have a working relationship with New Japan. So it always felt like kind of unlikely that was going to happen. And I think it's the perfect final opponent for him. Now, when he came out at the show in Anjo, he came out to his old Okada Rainmaker theme music. And he had his old manager, the booker, Geto, with him. So he's going to have Geto in his corner at Wrestle Kingdom, but he has said that he's not coming out to the old music again. You're going to get AEW Okada. So he told all the fans in Japan, get used to it. Go watch my matches in AEW if you want to know the kind of Okada that you're going to get. So you'll probably get the Rainmaker flip off, and you'll get, him trying to cheat to win. I think there's a great story to be told where, we kind of get AEW Okada, but then as the match progresses and Tanahashi kicks out of everything, maybe he drags the old Okada out of him. But I just think that you headline the show with that. And Tanahashi or Okada, I think, was asked about that. And I think he even made a comment about like maybe closing the show. What I love about that is it ties in so perfectly with the storyline that is going on in AEW right now with him and Takeshita. Because Takeshita is the IWGP champion. So you would think normally he would be the one headlining the show. And here's Okada coming in and trying to steal his thunder and saying, the real main event is right here. He goes, you could even do a fan vote. Let the fans vote. So, yeah, I mean, to me, it was the one that made the most sense. It's going to be a great match. I'm looking forward to seeing it. And Okada is just been fantastic lately. So I think it's going to be great. And it's sad that Tanahashi is, calling it a day, but my God, I mean, if you've seen him over the year, even just the way he walks, it's tough to watch.
It is. He was on AEW television. It's the first thing I noticed.
The knees went a long time ago, and he still goes out there and he has quality matches. He comes off the top with the high fly flow and all that, but sometimes you got to know when it's time to call it quits. That's why AJ Styles has said, like, next year is going to be his final year. He doesn't want to get to a point where he knows he went 1 year too many.
Yeah, but it's said that AJ says that, though, because AJ is still so great at what he does. And me personally, I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I don't think he's anywhere close to embarrassing himself at this age. So I don't know why he thinks that low about himself,
I think when you are someone who, like an AJ Styles, wrestled a certain way, and people regard him as just, especially in that style, like one of the greatest of all time. He was an innovator. There are a lot of wrestlers who modeled themselves after him. I feel like in a performer like that, who performs at such a high level, they just have certain expectations of their performance that it gets to a point where it's impossible to meet those standards. And they're probably harder on themselves than any fan would be.
Yeah.
So I could kind of understand it, where if they just feel like, man, I'm going out there and I'm good, but I'm not what I used to be. I can't stand to see myself like that. I don't want to be that guy. If I can't be AJ Styles, then I don't want to be doing this anymore. I kind of understand it. But yeah, I mean, look, if AJ wanted to go another 3 or 4 years, I have no doubt he can go another 3 or 4 years. Physically, you look at him just like in terms of his physique, and he's in better shape now than he was 10 years ago. But he's 40, what is he, 49, 48, 49?
Yeah, he's up there, yeah.
So, you know, he just doesn't want to get to a point where he goes out there and is not the phenomenal AJ Styles. So he has, you know, put a date on it and said, this is it. That's what John Cena did. John Cena says, when I realize that I can no longer do what I used to do in the ring, I will know that it is time to step away. And a lot of people, myself included, over the past 5 years, there were a lot of matches he had where it's like, man, this guy's, you know, he's washed. He just doesn't have it anymore. But then with the right people this year, look at the match he had with Cody at SummerSlam. Look at the match he had with AJ at Crown Jewel. You know, even the match with Punk in Saudi. Like, he still has something in him, but he also recognizes, I can't do the things I used to do at that level, so I'm going to step away. And I respect that in the case of Cena, because you could tell when he talks about, like, it's time to pave the way for the next generation and all that. You heard it in his announcement that we'll talk about for, you know, what's coming up on Saturday night's main event. And he's constantly at the Performance Center and he's visiting and dropping in and stuff. Like, he genuinely cares about that. And I think he realizes, okay, my time has come and gone. I can't do this at that level anymore. My body hurts. Think of the schedule he ran for so long. It's time to step away. You know, if these guys could drink from the fountain of youth, I don't think any of them would retire. They would do this until they drop.
Of course they would.
But that's just not realistic. And so with Tanahashi, though, you see it in a way that you don't with AJ. You see it with him. So that's the way to go out. You go out at the Tokyo Dome on the biggest show of the year. I think that's what some people are upset about with Cena. Like, his last match on Saturday night's main event, it should have been WrestleMania. You know, it should have been like a big show like that. But that's the way it worked out. He said, when the year is over, I'm done. We're not going to WrestleMania. So it's just unfortunate the one WrestleMania match we got on this tour fucking sucked. So that's going to be his last WrestleMania match. That's the shameful part
against Cody in that awful fucking main event. Holy
fiend,
shit.
fiend, JD. Fiend. That will forever be a part of John Cena's final WrestleMania match. That sucks.
That is awful. That
awful.
Sucks. Anyway, that's coming up, Wrestle Kingdom. You think Tanahashi's going to go, even with the bad knees, he's going to go out and just fucking just kill it against Okada. He's going to, whatever he could squeeze out of that orange, he's going to do it?
Yeah. Yeah, whatever he's got left in him, he's going to do it. And you could tell a great story in the course of a match, even if you can't physically do all of the things that you used to do. There's little tricks and there's ways to really draw people in and make it a big dramatic performance. I don't think it has to be the old classic Okada fucking, 45-minute main event. But I think those two can go out there for 30 minutes and just kill it and have a classic match.
Yeah. Shit, I don't even watch New Japan. I may actually tune in to watch this.
It's going to be a good show. I mean, again, Takeshita is the champion, so he's going to be defending against Yota Tsuji is one of their young stars who they're going to put that belt on at some point. I don't know if it'll be January 4th. I feel like it should be. They're going to have a big audience on that show because they're actually airing the show in full live on one of the major TV networks over there, which they have not done in over 20 years. So it's a combination of Tanahashi and then there's somebody making a debut on the show who's a really big celebrity over there, like a sports celebrity, Aaron Wolf, who's making his in-ring debut. So it's a combination of those two things. They've already sold over 31,000 tickets. So, it's going to be a big night for them. And they can use it because the New Japan product has just been cold for a while now.
Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm them, I'm using a show like this as a launching pad. I don't know how this Aaron Wolf guy is going to look in the ring. He's never had a professional wrestling match before. This will be the first time he's wrestling Evil. But
your
we'll
favorite?
see how he. Oh yeah, absolutely. So we'll see how he looks. But if he has a great performance, and if maybe Takeshita loses the title and they crown this this new young star as the new champion, it could be the start of a new era for them. So we'll see.
We will now move on to some WWE talk. We'll start with Friday Night SmackDown. Unfortunately, Friday Night SmackDown. I don't know. I didn't watch your stream, Jason. Usually I put you on, but I was just so drained on Friday after my stream. I kind of just took myself to bed. SmackDown. I ranted on SmackDown, man. I had to listen to people in the chat and see some tweets on social media about how SmackDown was a good show and SmackDown had this going forward, and we got a great match with Ilya Dragunov, and Lash Legend is there, and they had Cody and Black in the main event. I'm like, guys, what are you seeing that I am not seeing? Like from top to bottom, is it a bad show? Yes, it is a bad show. It is a bad show. They legitimately. They give you one segment into the next segment into the next segment, and there's no substance. There's not a single iota of fucking story on this show. And that's what I'm really trying to focus on and tell people, guys, there's no fucking story here. I mean, we could start at the top here. Cody and Black. Now, Cody has no competition at the top of the card. That's number one. I don't know how anybody doesn't see that. Black, I love Black. I think Black is great. I think him and Zelina being paired up is a great creative move. But let's be real, Jason. Black is not the main event guy that everybody wants him to be yet. That there are steps that are needed to get him there. But right now, if he's in the ring with Cody, nobody expects him to beat Cody. Nobody expects him to be the next WWE champion. Nobody expects him to be legit competition for the WWE title. So, sure, it's great. It's fresh. It's something new. But it was all done out of, there's nothing there for Cody left. Like, what is there to do? So let's start there. What'd you think of the Black and Cody start to SmackDown?
The only thing I was encouraged by is that it was setting up a fresh match for the main event. We haven't seen these two work together since AEW, so there was some history there. So that was a positive, and I was like, okay, this could be interesting. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to get into it here because you were nicer about it than I was going to be. I mean,
really?
You're saying that SmackDown is a bad show. SmackDown is a disgrace. Let's just call it what it is. This show is a fucking disgrace. And I would be ashamed to have my name attached to this show because you watch this show every single week and they have the talent. Now, not all of the talent is necessarily called up and on the show, and they could certainly use an infusion of talent right now. The show has been maddeningly inconsistent throughout much of the year, but let's just be honest. The show has been garbage for most of this year. And it has gotten to a point where the only thing of really any redeeming value week to week on this show is that U.S. title open challenge. And it started with Sami Zayn, and Ilya Dragunov took the baton and he grabbed that fucking thing and he ran with it. And man, he's killing it, right? And I'm a big fan of his. He's great.
There's a big butt there.
Well, I'll tell you what the big butt is. The big butt is, and this is the part I find really, really funny. What is one of the biggest criticisms that you will hear? And I hear it from you as well. When people look at AEW, like WWE fans look at AEW and they say, man, all it is matches. Where's the story? You can't just have matches for the sake of matches, right? And the funny thing is, the best thing going on SmackDown right now, it's just matches.
Yes.
There is no real, I mean, again, you could tell stories within the match itself, but there's no story to it. It's an open challenge gimmick. And every week he gets a different opponent. Now they're trying to thread a story in there now with Ciampa, and I'm sure he'll get his shot eventually, but there really is no story. And that's the best part of the show. That's funny to me. And I don't hear, some of these people that would be criticizing AEW for the same thing, and rightfully so. I would love to know what they think of SmackDown right now in the situation that we are in, with that open challenge being the one really, truly, consistently good thing about that show. Because when you look at the rest of it, what do you see? I see a group like the MFTs. and I see the MFTs come out there, and Solo Sikoa, man, we know he can be a funny guy. He's got it within him to be an entertaining guy, but that's not what they're going for here. They're going for a serious heel group.
I feel like there's another butt coming in this one.
There's a lot of big butts on this show. So he got this big faction, right? He's got his own little band of juggalos, and they come out with their clown makeup on, and it's the MFTs, and we don't know a fucking thing about any of these people. JC Mateo, Tala Tonga, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa. What do we really know about these people? And many of them have been on, I mean, Tala Tonga for the least amount of time, but we have seen many of these guys now. It's been months. There's no character development with any of the members of this crew. We're just supposed to accept them as some sort of
animalistic faction.
Oh, they're very intimidating. And, they're the MFTs. And I'm like, it really, to me, it all ties back where I think SmackDown lost its way. They relied far too heavily on the Bloodline story. When they lost the Bloodline story, that was sort of the beginning of the slow death of SmackDown, because they've been trying to find something to replace that, and they have not been able to find it. At its peak, and we're going back 2.5 years, 3 years, really when we hit the peak, okay, of the Bloodline story and Sammy being in there, it was great, right? The television was great. Those segments were great. We don't have anything like that now. And the MFTs, it's sort of an offshoot of that. It's not exactly the same thing, but like, look at the MFTs and look at the Bloodline. Why was one successful? Other than Roman Reigns was the number one guy and he was in the group. But what made them successful? And look at the MFTs and why they are failing and suffering so badly.
Because
right?
there's zero character investment. Nothing.
There's no reason to love them. There's no reason to hate them. There's no reason to care about any fucking thing that these guys do. So whenever they're on television, it's just like TV poison as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not passing judgment personally on any of those people. I'm sure they're fine people. But when I see them on television and I see these characters on my screen, it drags the show down. That's just one element of the show. We can talk about the Women's United States Championship. We could talk about that whole situation as well, which I'm sure we will.
I almost popped a fucking blood vessel talking about that on Friday.
But there are lots of things like that I can point to on the show that makes it nearly unwatchable, because there is not that one story that really grabs you by the throat.
No.
Where you're like, okay, I want to follow week to week what's going on with this group or this person or that woman or this guy. There's nothing like that. It's a show with no soul. It has no soul. It doesn't make you feel anything, which is the worst kind of show. Because if it's a great show, that's great. If it's so bad it's good, you can make fun of it and have fun with it, which is not necessarily a good thing. This show is just exists. And that's the worst kind of television that you could have. And there's no reason for it. And I'll give you one more thing, and then we can get into the specifics. But one of the reasons this show is suffering so much, and you look at that women's division, is they don't have enough credible challengers for their champions. They don't have enough credible people in the division. And I don't know why they have not taken steps to remedy that, because this has been going on for months. Now, the last time we had a draft was in the spring of last year. And I'm fine never having another WWE style draft show, because those shows suck. But they did something that I think they could have easily replicated this year with the transfer portal. And if it were up to me, I would do it twice a year. I would do it once in the summer, and you could do it again at the end of the year, into the beginning of the new year. Let it go on for however long you want. But you have, it's like an open enrollment. And you have this open period where you can move people back and forth, get the GMs involved, and just shake up the rosters as needed. Now we're seeing a Lash Legend on the show. We're seeing maybe they're waking up to the fact that, okay, we need some new faces, but they're not doing it fast enough, because you need time to then build these people up to where they can be credible on the roster. And they have dragged their feet and waited so long. All of these things together have made for a terrible, terrible situation on Friday nights. You look at Monday and Friday and you compare the two, and it's hard to believe that the same people are responsible for both shows. So as a viewer, I'm offended when I watch that show, because there's no reason for it to be that inconsistent and that bad and that insulting with the stuff they do. And it goes to the very top. You know, you can mention Road Dogg. Everyone mentions Road Dogg. Sure, if he has any involvement in the show, then he bears responsibility for it. But it goes up to the very top. It goes up to the head of creative here. And they need to make SmackDown more of a priority because in its current form, the show is a disgrace. There's no reason for it to be this bad.
SmackDown's roster, I'm trying to think of a great way to put this. It's so bleak and it's so like minimal. It's like you go to the supermarket and you know that you want groceries and that you need groceries, but you bring only $50 and you're going to spend $50 worth of groceries. But then you see this and you see that and you see this. And then you don't got enough money to potentially go out and buy these extra things that you may want and that you like. SmackDown, they're a 2-hour show, and it's like they got a roster that is specifically just to the T, fit for a 2-hour show. And we see the same fucking characters every single week, and there's no direction with those characters every single week, and there's nothing new. There's nothing fresh about the show. They load the show up with the same people. I wish that they would call up at least 6 to 12 different fucking talents and put them on Friday Night SmackDown, or like Jason said, a transfer window or a draft of some point, and load SmackDown up at the 2-hour show just as much as they load Monday Night Raw up at the 3-hour show. It feels like Monday Night Raw is so much more loaded than Friday Night SmackDown is, and it's actually harming SmackDown in the worst possible way. And I don't really understand why they don't put enough talent on the show to really offset the fact that it's starting to feel the same, and we've gone now all year with the show not feeling any different from January and what we see now in November. So
and it doesn't help that we have very little depth in the main event picture right now.
Yeah, awful.
So you look, I mean, literally every single division that you can look at on that show, the main event scene, no depth. And it doesn't help that some of the names that are attached to SmackDown are not full-time performers. So I think Randy Orton right now, there was a picture, I think he's away on some vacation with his family, which is great. Randy Orton's been gone. I don't know how long he's been gone for now, a couple months. He's rarely even there anymore. Brock Lesnar, I don't know what his status is. I mean, the last time we saw him, he was on SmackDown, but we're not going to see him week to week. You know, he's a big name, but you're not going to get him on television every week. Guys come in and out because they're making movies. So Cody disappeared for like 3 or 4 weeks. Drew now has been storyline suspended, and I think he'll be back very soon, but he's going to be filming a movie in a few months. And so guys come in, guys go out. So that's kind of bleak right now. The women's division, the tag team division was one of the shining stars of SmackDown earlier this year. It has gone from hot to cold.
But even that was a lot of great matches and no real story there. There wasn't.
No,
really
there was story. No, there was story. There were.
Everybody didn't like each other and they wanted to take. I'm talking about story like the actual get you to watch every single week. To me, there was a story, but it wasn't a story like, hey man, I got to watch what the tag team division's doing next week.
Which, you know what's funny about that? Triple H just did an interview, or he was at some kind of conference, and he had this quote where it's like, we don't book matches based on what's going to make for the best match.
Yes.
We book matches because what's going to make for the best story, right? Now, I had to listen to him sit there and talk about this. But to your point, you could argue that. Like, the best part of SmackDown when the tag team division was hot were the matches. Right? There wasn't anything terribly compelling about any of the stories they were telling with the tag teams, right? It was just they were going out there and we were getting some killer matches. The U.S. title open challenge, what are we getting right now, right? A lot of banger matches. So for someone who talks about how well we tell stories, and that's really when we book these matches and come up with these matches, we're not trying to come up with great matches. We're trying to come up with great stories. Apparently, he wasn't talking about SmackDown when he was making these comments, because in every division, male and female, there's just so many holes and problems right now, and I don't know why they have not taken measures up to this point to correct it, and they've allowed it to get to this point where the show is just so forgettable and just so blasé. It's horrible to see what SmackDown has become, and they're all responsible for it, and so they're going to be responsible for fixing it, and there's plenty of things you could do to fix it.
Well, they're already feeling that too, because the ticket sales have absolutely been fucking tanking on Friday, and the ratings, they were below 1 million last week.
They were below 1 million, and I know it was Halloween and the World Series Game 7.
Yes.
You know, whatever was going on, we'll see what the numbers are this week and next week, but I don't even care about that, honestly. Like, the bigger thing to me are the ticket sales. And if that becomes a more consistent issue with SmackDown, good. Maybe that's what they need. You know what I mean? To wake them up to the fact that, hey, we're not at that peak anymore, right? We're past the peak. So at what point do they look at those numbers and say, maybe it's something that we're doing. Maybe we need to make some changes here. Because if they've already come to that realization, which we heard a few weeks ago, right? They were going to be adding help for Road Dogg and the creative team.
Well, clearly that didn't happen.
I haven't seen it. It hasn't materialized yet. So I don't know what is going to have to light a fire under their ass to make real, genuine change to this show.
Hit them where it hurts.
Hit them where it hurts. That may be the only thing that they pay attention to.
They certainly ain't listening to us. I'll tell you that right now. But yes, this is all true. This is exactly how a lot of the fan base feels outside of the elitists. That you can't say anything bad about the Fed, you know. But Ilya Dragunov and Johnny Gargano, you know, they only went 10 minutes. This was one of the shorter U.S. Open challenges that we've seen in the last 2 months. Sami Zayn did a fantastic job with the United States Championship, and Dragunov is a fantastic professional wrestler. So I'm not even going to pin this on him. But where Sami went 7 weeks, Chase, and Dragunov now has had 3 straight successful title defenses, it's now 10 weeks into this U.S. Open challenge. I personally am starting to get a little bored, number one, and I'm starting to really just feel burnt out over the fact that you got this great wrestler, you got this championship that you've been kind of adding to layer by layer, week by week to make it feel prestigious and something that everybody should want to fight over. And you're doing nothing to really build a captivating story around it. And it's just random match after match after match every single week. There's no story there. That's not a true reason to tune into Friday Night SmackDown. Oh, who's Dragunov wrestling next week? Nobody gives a shit. So to me, it's kind of long in the tooth now. And I feel like at some point they're going to need to just kind of get rid of it and do something a little bit more elaborate and a little bit more thought-provoking here.
So then we won't have anything to look forward to on SmackDown.
Well, I mean, how long do you want it to go? Sure.
You want them to get rid of the one good thing on SmackDown.
How long do you want it to go on?
As long as it takes until they pull their head out of their ass and they wake up to the fact that other changes are needed on this show.
I can't wait till Dragunov wrestles Tama Tonga, and I got to see this guy review the show. That's what
we know that match. Well, you know what's going to happen. A heel is going to win the belt, and the heel is going to be like, fuck this, I'm not doing an open challenge.
At that point, he's like, you know what, I think we got to end the open challenge, man. Enough of it.
And that's going to be the end of the open challenge. So I'm sure it is coming to an end fairly soon. But the idea that we're going to do away with the one thing on the show that's actually really, really consistently good every week, I want them to get their house in order a little bit more before we get to that point. But you're probably right. It is probably going to come to an end very soon. I know one match we have coming up this week is Jade Cargill against BFAB.
Oh man, I'm not going to be here for that, bro. You have to cover Friday night for us.
You're not going to see Jade Cargill against BFAB.
No. I will be front row at the Miles Kennedy concert on Friday, man. I'm not missing that.
Gonna miss that on a banger of a match. I can't wait. You know, but there's another example where even if Tiffany Stratton didn't lose that championship, it almost didn't even matter who was in this spot. That you need credible challengers for the champion to work with. And that's the situation we're in right now on SmackDown, which is why I actually think it was a great move to get the women's tag belts off of Charlotte and Alexa last night, because now it opens them up to be credible challengers for Jade until Bianca is ready to come back. So there's so many holes in this show. And look, to that point, one thing I will say, the injuries haven't helped. Kevin Owens got hurt. He was a very big part of SmackDown at the beginning of the year. He got hurt, and he's been gone for most of the year. Bianca broke a bunch of fingers at WrestleMania. I don't think anybody expected her to be gone for this long. She's still out. But that's 2 people. That's why you have all this other talent. I don't want to excuse them just because there have been some devastating injuries that have hurt the show, because they're a big enough company with a big enough roster and they have a writing team. You should be prepared for situations like this. And to me, that's just not a valid excuse for the quality of the show right now. You know what I mean? So I understand that, but I also don't want people using that as an excuse like, oh, well, it's not their fault. You know, people got hurt. Well, people get hurt all the time. And so you have other people on standby, or you shake up the roster. which is why SmackDown could have used a shakeup a few months ago, but they didn't do it. And I still cannot understand why. I genuinely do not understand why they did not move people from Raw, call some more people up from NXT a little bit sooner, because there are people that are ready right now. It's not like they don't have people who are ready to slide into that role and who can be built up on the SmackDown roster. But now it's so late, it's going to take time to really get these people, to a point where, okay, they can really be something on that show. Even if you called up like an Obafemi or someone like that, you still need some time to familiarize them with the audience and build them up. Now is the time for them to be doing that. And I hope this week, we can start to see more of it. Lash Legend cannot be the only one who we see showing up on SmackDown. There has to be more of that. Hopefully we will get that. But it's not a fun show. SmackDown in the past has been fun. Where is the fun?
No, the people writing the show and producing the show aren't even having fun. We're not having fun. I don't think they're having fun either. They're having fun counting their fucking dollars and cents, but they having fun booking the show.
Well, the dollars and cents they have for now, but you keep putting out shows like this, and the dollars and cents may not be there the way they are now, at some point down the road. So, yeah, I just think that show, just in general, and not even just talking about last Friday, I just think it's a disgrace that SmackDown has gotten to this point where it was very telling. I put the poll up on Twitter, and generally speaking, they do the WWE ones, do very well. And even this one, I think it was like 30-70 people just saying, yeah, this show sucked.
It's fucking
like
awful.
even the people who normally defend it were finding it very hard to find defenses for this show.
Well, Sami Zayn and Rey Fenix, along with Nakamura, they're battling the MFTs. That's not going to get it done on Friday night. That's the ongoing dilemma there with those guys.
Jeez,
and the Motor City Machine Guns, I can't leave them out. So it's 5-on-5. Whether we get that on the Friday leading into Survivor Series or at Survivor Series in some sort of traditional elimination match. What happened?
Why don't we have a traditional Survivor Series elimination match on the Friday before Survivor Series? They're not going to do it at Survivor Series.
No, that's what I said.
Yeah. I mean, why? Okay, so we're on the same page then, because
who wants to see that at the pay-per-view?
Well, I think each year they should do at least one traditional Survivor Series elimination match.
I agree with you, but I think we could come up with something a little bit better there.
Well, no, you already have 2 War Games matches, so it would be overkill. So I think you do it on the SmackDown before, and that would be fine. I was worried there for a while that we might get the MFTs in War Games. Thank God that's not going to happen. Because for a while there, it felt like it, right? We were going to get the MFTs and the Wyatts, and they were going to build something up there. And the idea of it was just comical to me. That you talk about a slap together War Games match. So yeah, I'm just so deflated, when I watch that show, and I have to talk about it. I do it because a lot of people don't watch SmackDown anymore.
No,
and they say like, I rely on you for the reviews. I'm like, okay, well,
and even those audiences on Friday are fucking depleted. They're not even the same anymore.
I'm like, I don't blame you, but it's getting harder and harder.
So yeah, we got that dilemma going on there. That's faction warfare on Friday night. Jade Cargill came out and cut a 10-second promo. She said, "What happened to Tiffany Stratton? It's going to happen to everybody else in the SmackDown women's division because she's that bitch." So they went and reverted her back to the Jade Cargill of AEW, which, sure, some people praise this for its simplicity, but did this really need to have, like, the intro and the entrance took more time, almost a quadruple amount of time than this promo took.
Dude, how long do you think the entrances are going to be in War Games? Like, I'm wondering if the entrance, especially for the men's match with all the big names in there, I'm thinking the entrances may actually be longer than the match itself.
Well, they typically go 40 minutes, 45 minutes. The entrances will be 20 minutes.
Probably.
Yeah.
Like, legit. You got 10 guys, so yeah.
Sing-alongs and fucking chanting and all that other nonsense.
Whoa, yeah, you're gonna have all of it. Whoa, yeah, it's all gonna be there.
Can you imagine Roman, Punk, and Cody on the same War Games team, bro? All the fucking just pausing and waiting and the ambiance and the lighting and everybody singing along.
It'll take Roman longer than the Undertaker to get down to the ring. Just Roman alone. So yes, I can imagine that.
Yes, Jade Cargill cut a promo. Nia Jax wrestled Charlotte Flair, where we saw the debut of Lash Legend
Oh God, we didn't even talk about Jay being in that match. That entrance alone.
Yeah.
Jay Uso, he's got to do his entrance.
Of course he does. Yeah, he'll walk from the crowd to the ring and then to the shark cages.
To the shark cages, and he'll be blown up by the time he gets to the shark cage. He's going to need time to regenerate his energy.
We know who's coming in at 4 or 5. It's Jay Uso. Same thing for Nia. Yeah, with a weapon. With Nia Jax, we'll get into that, man. I hate.
Got to get your kendo stick, JD.
Kendo stick or whatever. I'd bring a fucking coffee mug. That's my gimmick. Nia Jax for Charlotte Flair. This exactly what goes into what Jason said here. This is just painful to watch. I don't. There's no story here. It's simply one woman has a problem with the other woman for X reasons. It's not anything substantial, and now we're just manufacturing a tag team title program or a tag team program. And Nia Jax has now included Lash Legend. I guess Dave was right. Lash Legend is not only paired with Nia Jax, but she's in War Games, which we'll get into in a little bit. But they were together after this, Jason, and Charlotte lost. Nia Jax won here. And then the explanation that we got, they couldn't even pen an explanation that was suitable enough or made sense enough for these two being together. Nia's like, oh, she's a bad bitch, and she's my friend, and I worked with her, and I saw her in NXT. It's like, all right, well, what's the reason for your partnership? That's all great and all, but what is the reason why you have now decided to come together?
No, War Games. That's the reason why.
No,
I mean, she did make the comment. I guess Alexa maybe when they when she confronted Charlotte and Alexa last week, and I think Alexa said you have no friends. So she said, "Well, you say I have no friends. Now I found a friend." But the reason that Lash is up now of all times is because War Games. And you know what? None of this bothers me, because they so badly needed some new faces in that division and still do. I'm just happy they called her up. Lash is very athletic. She's made improvements in the time that she's been down in NXT. And I think and look, I saw her on Raw last night. She walloped Io with a forearm shot at one point.
She probably looked the better out of everybody there, honestly.
She fucking demolished her with that forearm shot. So I'm just happy that she's there. And yeah, there's no real major story here to explain them being together. I don't know that they're necessarily going to be a long-term thing coming out of War Games. I don't know how long they're going to be together for, but I'm just glad she's on the show. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. We wanted more talent in the division. We're getting more talent in the division. That to me is the most important part of this. I don't know what was going on with Charlotte. My screen went black 4 different times during the match. She must have been, I mean...
there was a wardrobe malfunction that was showcased on social media, yes.
They must have been fighting for their life, because my screen went black 4 different times. But, and then once with Nia last night on Raw, so I don't know.
There was like 3 different fucking situations with Nia. What are you talking about once?
I don't know. My screen went black once. Did it go black more than that?
Well, no, but I saw her fixing her top, and then she even made fun of it. She was like jiggling them on screen last night.
Yeah, well, I saw that. I saw the jiggle. Yes, I saw the jiggle. Enjoy it now, guys, because we're not going to have this issue in Saudi when the Royal Rumble rolls around. So we won't have to worry about that.
I agree with you with Lash Legend for sure. Fresh faces here in this case is a positive. I'm more of a stickler for that type of thing. I don't expect everybody else to. I would have loved a suitable explanation as to why they were paired together, just to add to the whole reason. But you know, they're even lazy with that. So we got Lash Legend now on Friday, and I do think, this is just from me, I do think that we end up seeing Trick Williams get called up, because I know Lash and Trick are an item. They're together, a couple. I do think Trick gets called up, and I think Trick adds his presence to SmackDown. I think that
yes, and there's actually, and I wish I remember who it was. Somebody sent an email into the podcast, and they had an idea that I didn't hate, and it's kind of interesting. We have this U.S. title open challenge going on right now, and obviously Carmelo Hayes is going to have a match soon with The Miz, right? It gets past that, let's say. And I think the way they laid it out is where Melo comes out one week to accept the open challenge, but then Trick comes out and blows right past him, and he accepts the open challenge first. And maybe you put the title on Trick, introduce him that way, and then you can transition right into a main roster feud between Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, and they kind of pick up where they left off years ago in NXT. So even if it doesn't work out exactly like that, the idea that you would introduce him and then eventually, kind of pair them up, not together, but where they work against each other. And that could be like a main roster program on SmackDown. And I don't hate that idea.
No, I actually like that. I like that a lot. And I hope that they have fun with something like that because A, those guys have history. B, when I watched NXT back in the day and they were just kind of coming up together and they were a pair, they did those great vignettes at the barbershop on NXT television. That's the type of stuff I want to see more of on the main roster. They moved away from that. Remember when Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, granted, as silly as it was, they filmed it backstage, but they pretended like they were at an Irish pub somewhere and they were talking the shit and they were coming up with, backstage
That's an NXT
vignette.
thing.
I mean, what happened to that? Like,
well, look, I've said the same thing about Charlotte and Alexa. So they're pairing. I don't know if they're going to keep teaming up or not. They shouldn't. But they had this whole time. And the whole story was that Alexa wanted them to be friends, and Charlotte wouldn't say the F word, right? We're not friends. And I'm like, where were all the vignettes, like, outside of the venue, where they were out trying to do stuff where Alexa was like, we got to do stuff as friends?
Yes.
We didn't get any of that. Like, they don't, very rarely now do they film shit outside of the building. Everything's just in the back. Everything's so fucking boring and sterile. Like, where are those vignettes? How did we not get any of that with Charlotte and Alexa? That's why after a while I was like, all right, it worked as far as getting Charlotte cheered, but there was so much they could have done to make this fun, and they didn't do any of that.
Yeah, all of that should have happened before they won the tag team titles, and then you build up the team as friends, and then you build up the eventual breakup. Like, what happened to any of that?
Yeah, they didn't do any of that because they're so fucking lazy. Like, for a company that loves to talk about how we tell stories, like, it was right there. Like, how did we not get any of that?
Oh, man. We're talking about this show here. I'm getting more depressed talking about this because of the things that they're not doing.
These were all things they could easily do. We're not talking about stuff that's like pie in the sky. Oh, that's not, it's easy for you to say, but that's not really doable. All of this shit is doable. All of this shit is stuff they've done in the past that would work and be effective now, but they just don't do it. And I don't understand why. Shawn Michaels does it in NXT. You mean to tell me you could do stuff like that in NXT, but not on the main roster?
I mean, they just had Joe Hendry cut a whole fucking music video on Ethan Page. Like, give me something.
Yeah.
Where's any of that here, man? Give me some creativity. There's nothing on the main roster. I can't stand it.
No.
By the way, that was hilarious. He cut a music video on Ethan Page and Chelsea Green because he has a mixed tag team match coming up with Thea Hale. And he even threw a shot at Matt Cardona in there, or two. Great stuff there. What is not great is Julia and Chelsea Green for the United States Championship. Jason, 90 seconds. 90 seconds, and Julia, I don't like to use the word because I think it's highly overused.
Julia the Jobber.
This was a burial. This was a burial.
Julia the Jobber.
Yes.
Now, would you have ever imagined when you were watching that Roadblock show from Madison Square Garden, the theater at Madison Square Garden, earlier this year when we had winner take all between Julia and Stephanie McMahon, or Stephanie McMahon.
we talked about Nia jiggling. He's got something else on the mind over here.
What a match that would have been between Julia and Stephanie McMahon, and to go from that to what we saw on Friday is quite the fall.
Bro, it's not even the
Julia.
same. It's not even the same woman. You cannot convince me it's the same woman.
It's not. It's not the same woman. And I was happy for this reason, because I looked at it as a mercy killing. That's what this was. This whole reign that she had, this was a mercy killing on Friday. This had to happen. And now I don't know what their plan is for Julia now. Maybe she'll snap.
According to some sources, there is a plan as to why this happened the way that it did.
Well, I guess we'll see what that plan looks like. But whether she stays on SmackDown or they move her somewhere else, it's almost like you now have to start over again. You have to start from scratch. And nothing that she has done up to this point really matters, because she didn't do a whole lot.
Bro, they featured her as little as they possibly. It was almost like pulling teeth to feature this woman on the show. She didn't cut a fucking promo on her own. She didn't have any backstage vignette outside maybe one when she first got there, and then they just did nothing with her. She got no reaction because she wasn't featured on television. We don't know who she is, what she sounds like. We don't know anything about her personality. If you put that out in front of the open and in front of the people in the ring, everybody would actually kind of gravitate to her because she's got a very bubbly personality. When you watch these backstage segments or whatever. Like there's stuff you see on social media. Like you see this beautiful, vibrant, fucking bubbly human being, and you see nothing about this here. And the fact of the matter is they gave her the United States Championship by beating Zelina Vega, who was also dead to rights. So she beat a dead character for a dead championship. They did nothing with it. They made it into a big deal. And then all of a sudden they pair her with Kiana James. And I ranted on the fact that this is, if you need an example of how bad creative is on Friday night, this is the top of the fucking, the list here. Kiana James is a relatively unknown individual in the realm of WWE. Nobody on the main roster knows who the fuck Kiana James is. She comes out. She looks like a sexy businesswoman. I don't know whether she's representation or fucking. Sure. Yeah. I don't know. Like the main roster people don't know. She looks like she walks out there like an OnlyFans model. I don't know who the fuck she is. The rest of the roster, you look at how bad the show is. This is as egregious as it comes. Who is she? Why is she there? I mean, she's not over. How do you expect the relationship to blossom if neither woman is benefiting off of the other? It was so counterproductive, I don't even know where to begin. And then you have Julia hold the United States Championship. You do nothing with it or her because there's no fucking competition. The competition you got is basically Zelina, Mia Yim, Chelsea Green, and B-Fab. I mean, every one of those women is so severely inferior to Julia in every way possible. Like, you're going to make Julia look bad at the end of it all just by working with those women. So at the end of it, you see 90 seconds here, and it goes right back to Chelsea Green. And this may be somewhat of a hot take, and I'm pretty sure Jason does not agree with what I'm about to say here. Bro, I think Chelsea Green is one of the worst aspects of Friday Night SmackDown. The Secret Harvest is terrible. Like, I hope that they completely move her away from that so they kind of rehabilitate her character. That shit was fucking awful. And the fact that they put Chelsea Green in this position again to hold the United States Championship, it's not only a detriment to the title. I honestly feel like it's beneath Chelsea Green, and I'm awaiting the pairing with Ethan Page to kind of just get that going. But you're going backwards with the United States Championship, where the Intercontinental title on Raw with Becky Lynch is actually moving forward, and she's done great things with that. And I just don't get a sense that Chelsea is even presented as her full self. She's a comedy gimmick. So how is that going to help the title? And how is the title going to help her? It's not. She is so far.
No, they want her to be a double champion because Ethan Page is a double champion. So the point was to get the belt on her so they can pose, as they did at the end of the segment, because Ethan was in the crowd and he had her up on his shoulders, and now they both have two belts. And that was the point of doing what they did. I think that the Secret Harvest stuff is awful. I think Chelsea Green is great. So I disagree with you on that.
She's a lot better than what she's presented as. She's a lot better of a wrestler than we see. So it's actually painful in my case to see that she does so little. Meanwhile, we know she does a lot more, or Chelsea, can do a lot more.
Yes, Chelsea is great. The Secret Harvest gimmick has run its course. It is terrible. It's just beyond the point that we should be seeing it on TV, especially when Piper Niven went down with the injury, and now it's just her and Alba. The Secret Harvest stuff is just stupid, and it's beneath Chelsea. She could be doing a lot more. And also, I like the idea of calling Ethan Page up to SmackDown, speaking of talent that can be used on that show. And I like the idea of continuing this pairing more formally with him and Chelsea. If you want to have Alba with them, that's fine. But that's what they should be moving towards soon enough. I know he's got the North American Championship, so he still has stuff to do in NXT, but hopefully that will be a direction as we head into the new year, because I'd like to see them interacting more on the main roster. So what they did here with Julia, obviously it was just completely deplorable. I mean, the way that they booked this whole run as U.S. champion was completely deplorable. 90 seconds. This felt like a Divas match from back in the day. I used to have my Divas stopwatch, to time the matches. That's what this felt like. And when it was over, I was like, this feeling of relief in that, okay, this awful, awful championship run that started, I believe, in June, and I can't remember a single fucking memorable thing from it, is finally over. My first instinct was get her off SmackDown. She's damaged goods now. Get her off SmackDown. You can move her to Raw, but my thing was even move her back to NXT. Now, I know generally that doesn't work out too well when you're on the main roster and you get moved back to NXT.
But why did they call her up in the first place if this was their plan for her? Like, she was doing so well down there. We don't know. I ask questions nobody knows.
Can't get in their head. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think they wanted Stephanie on one show, Julia on the other. In theory, it sounded great. You're like, okay, she got pushed pretty damn hard in NXT. That bodes well for her when she gets called up.
Trade her for Jordan Grace and Jada Parker. Call them up.
But at this point, she needs to go away for a little bit, at least from SmackDown. And we'll see what their big plan is to reboot her, if there is some sort of plan here. But again, the division as a whole is in dire need of help. So whatever they do with her, she's still going to need people to work with. So I'm curious what that's going to look like. But what they've done with her is obviously just terrible. And what I saw on Friday night, to me, that perfectly envelops SmackDown right now. It was a great example of just everything that is wrong with SmackDown right now. So I'm not surprised by it, but that reign is better forgotten. The more distance they could put between her and what we've seen over the last 5 or 6 months, the better off she's going to be. She's not damaged goods to the point where she can't be rehabilitated, but I don't know that I trust these people to adequately rehabilitate her and get her to where she needs to be. And my God, you look at the Intercontinental Championship, what Becky Lynch has done with that championship on Mondays, and it is just night and day between that title and the U.S. title. And it's a great example of, it's not a matter of we can put the belt on anybody and the belt will make them. The belt has no inherent value. That belt has no value whatsoever. You need someone like a Becky who had credibility, who had fan investment. Her holding that championship has helped elevate that title to a level that it was not previously at. The situation we have on SmackDown is the complete opposite. They need to find the right person. And I don't think Chelsea is going to be that right person to do it because she is, again, more of a comedy character, but they have to find that right person who can do for that belt what Becky did for the other one on Raw.
Yeah, I wish I was a fly on the wall when those discussions were happening, that they were going to create 2 middle of the card championships for the women. Like, what was the thought process going into those? Did they even want to do it? Because it feels like I'm not even sure if they wanted to do an Intercontinental Championship. I would be very curious to know if Becky actually went to them and took the reins and said, I want to make this title. Because of normally what they did with the tag team championships, to where you see them now, they're fucking worthless. But how much of the WWE wanted an actual United States Women's Championship? Because clearly they didn't, if this is the way that they went about it. We got this title in December, never mind January. December, Chelsea was crowned as the first.
Yeah, this came before the IC
We're going
title.
on a full year, and this is the first year of the United States Championship. You cannot convince me that they had this all planned out, and this was their plan.
No. I don't think they needed to introduce 2 different ones. I mean, I think it would have been, my whole thing was introduce one, let it float, and if things go well, and you get to a point where it's like, all right, we have enough competition on each show to, sustain 2 different championships, you can always introduce, a U.S. title or whichever one came first, but you could always introduce a second one later on. I don't know what the rush was. Well, we have one, now we got to have the other. You need the people to support it. So I think that was their first mistake, is feeling the need to introduce 2 of them almost at the same time. They basically came one right after the other. I don't know what the big rush was. I think having one title that floated and then you have women kind of in the middle on each show competing for it, that would have been fine. We had 2 belts. And again, you see what happens when you have such a disparity between the rosters on these 2 shows. The imbalance right now between Raw and SmackDown is so noticeable, especially on the women's side. When you look at the War Games match that we're going to talk about, look at where most of the women, I think most of the women that are going to be in that match, where they're coming from. Where are they coming from?
They don't belong there.
No, but I'm saying, what brand are they coming from? Right? Not Charlotte. Rhea, Io,
Raw,
Becky, if Becky is in there, the Kabuki Warriors, right? The majority of them are coming from Raw. It's not a surprise.
Where was Julia before WWE? Stardom, Rossy Ogawa, right? Yeah. Was that? Can you imagine what they're thinking?
Well, Stardom, and then I think she was briefly in
Marigold. Can you imagine what they're thinking, seeing this nonsense? This is how great she was over there.
This is not the same. This is not the same person. It's not.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's not the same person.
Oh, man, this show sucks. Then Cody and Aleister Black, they went to a no contest because of Damian Priest. He ran down. Obviously, he's still feuding with fucking...
Talk about cold.
Alistair, I want to call him Malachi. Yeah, Drew McIntyre came in and fucking gave the referee a Claymore kick out of nowhere. Mass chaos at the end of the show. Nick Aldis comes out and suspends Drew McIntyre, says he's tired of his shit. So that's the way that they write him off television. We talked about this legitimately last week. What's Drew McIntyre going to do after being a loser again? He's going to complain that he's got fucked over again by management. And he'll rant and rave that the referee was against him and Nick Aldis was against him. No, they just took him off TV in a fake suspension angle. So now they could buy themselves 3 or 4 more weeks till they bring him back to television with a proper idea. So that's their bright idea here. But the thing is, Jason, with this, Cody and Black, fine. We talked about Black not being a main event guy yet. Hopefully that's the case sooner rather than later. But this leaves Cody with nobody else, where we find him now on Monday, because with McIntyre being suspended and all of us thinking that we may get match number 3 with Cody and McIntyre at Survivor Series, better yet, maybe include Randy Orton, make it a triple threat match. It seems like none of that's going to happen.
Dude, we gotta forget Randy Orton.
I know.
I think they may have forgotten Randy Orton.
He won't be back till the Rumble.
Think it'll be that long?
I'm sure he'll be at Cena's last match, but
you don't think he'll be in the tournament?
No. He's already had his match with Cena.
There's still some people who think he would be an appropriate final opponent for John Cena.
I'm going to call no.
Yeah. I disagree with that, because him being in the tournament, because we haven't seen a fucking bracket for this thing yet, so you never know.
No, that's another one of my complaints there, but we'll get into that. McIntyre suspended. He's off TV. Leaves Cody without any top-tier talent on SmackDown. Jacob Fatu's out. Randy Orton's off television. They haven't built anybody else up. So that's the grim, bleak outlook over there on Friday Night SmackDown. But Drew McIntyre was in the news, and a lot of people were claiming that the reason why he was written off television is because he is going to film a movie. Now, I got to shout him out because he's one of the more entertaining accounts that I follow, Nick LaPiccolo, who is an agent to the WWE Stars with Paradigm. He actually went at Dave Meltzer today and gave a whole spiel on Dave being incorrect and that McIntyre is indeed filming a movie, but it's not till April 2026. Dave went on The Observer and says with Alvarez, oh, yeah, he's filming a movie. And that's basically the basis of why he was written off television. He gave no additional information or anything.
And I'm not sure why he would have said that, because even I knew, like, again, Henry Cavill is in that movie, and apparently he was injured. So originally they were, I believe, going to film in the fall, and then it got pushed back to early next year. And then Nick mentioned, mid-April, which is very interesting because that would theoretically mean that McIntyre is going to miss WrestleMania possibly.
Well, when I read that, I was hoping that it would be after WrestleMania, so we don't know.
Well, mid-April. I mean, WrestleMania is what, the 18th and the 19th?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's going to be interesting to follow. But yeah, so this suspension is purely a storyline suspension. It's not necessitated by a movie or an injury or anything like that. So we're heading into, and let's just get into it here, because we have Survivor Series is coming up. And we're only a few weeks away, so it's time to figure out what these War Games matches are going to look like, even though they really both feel very forced right now. It's like
they remembered, yeah, we got to put War Games teams together.
We got War Games. Let's trot out William Regal for War Games. It was good to hear his voice. Yes. I will say that.
Yes.
It was good to hear him. So now we have some clarity on what these War Games matches are going to look like. Now, after last week, we knew Logan Paul was going to join Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And the question was, like, who would their partners be? And we still don't have an answer to that yet. But CM Punk is going to be on the babyface side. And Jey Uso showed up last night. He was standing right next to him, which was interesting because he kind of came out of nowhere. They did the segment where Punk was all alone in the ring, and Jey just showed up next to him. And, like, it got no reaction. It was very strange. Like, it just felt like, I don't know, the crowd was just mute almost. But he's standing there next to Punk. All hell breaks loose. And then Cody comes out. And we knew Cody was there because we saw him earlier. He was congratulating Cena in the back. So now we have the World Heavyweight Champion, the WWE Champion, and Jey Uso. So that's 3. And we got the segment later on with Regal, and War Games was made official. So we look at these War Games teams. Now, I've been saying that next week Raw is in Madison Square Garden. That feels like it would have been the right place for Roman Reigns to make a return. There's been no explanation, by the way, for why we haven't seen Roman on TV. I just love how he disappears. It's not even always an injury.
Well,
angle.
he's mad at his cousins, bro.
Okay, so then he doesn't come to work?
He said, I won't see y'all till Christmas, he said.
So is he not going to be a survivor? Are we not going to see him until Christmas? There's no major event around that anyway.
Man, he's wrestled less matches this year than he did last year.
Yes.
So
yes. But I just love how, like, it's not always an injury angle. I just love how he just disappears. Like, there's no rhyme or reason. He just, you know what? I'm just gonna go away.
All right.
And I'll just come back. So I think Madison Square Garden is where we're gonna see him. All right.
So you think Roman is gonna be part of this babyface Survivor Series team?
I think, yes. I think that we are looking at Cody, Punk, Roman, Jay, and I do think we end up getting 5-on-5 in both matches. You were saying before when we were talking, you think it might just be 4-on-4. I think 4-on-4 would be fine. I think they want it to be 5-on-5. So if we're looking at 5-on-5, what I think there's a very real possibility. What we are looking at here is almost like an Avengers babyface team. Cody, Roman, Punk, Cena, Jey Uso. Which one doesn't belong, by the way? So I think that could be your babyface team. On the heel side, Breakker, Reed, Logan, Lesnar, McIntyre. Because if Drew is storyline suspended and there's no reason for him not to, to not be at Survivor Series, Cody is in the match now.
Well, he's suspended on SmackDown. He's not suspended on Raw.
And so what, though? What does that mean?
I mean,
Adam Pearce is going to just blatantly ignore Nick Aldis suspending this guy. Like, there'll have to be some reason for him to be reinstated, obviously. I don't know how they're going to go about doing that.
Well, listen. You can sit there and claim that Cody is friends with CM Punk and Uso and he's going to back up his buddies, but McIntyre being in the match is the only way you make sense of Cody being in the match. Otherwise, Cody being there doesn't make sense.
It's the only way to make sense of Cody being in the match, but also Drew and Punk have history. Yes. So, yeah, Drew and Punk could go at it. Lesnar being in there would make sense as far as Cena being in there, because if that doesn't happen, boy, it already looks stupid, but boy, does that make that WrestlePalooza match look even dumber, because at least here you could justify it, right? If I think Roman and Brock both, frankly, may show up at Madison Square Garden next week, but at least then you have Lesnar on one side, Cena on the other. If you're thinking, well, how do you justify Cena being in there? Why would Cena be in there? That could be one reason why they would want Cena in there. You have Cena and Brock on opposing sides. But then you get your 5-on-5. No Austin Theory. There's no, we don't need Jimmy Uso, LA Knight.
That's just very last minute to have any people to care. Like, who the fuck gives a shit about Austin Theory being added to that?
Yeah, at this point, that's not happening. So that, I think, is how you get your 5-on-5. All right. And all the people who maybe are LA Knight fans who would want him in War Games, I'm sorry.
That was my next question to you. Like, he's been bad, like, bro, 6 months of LA Knight in the main event against the fucking Vision, and you're not going to put him in War Games against the Vision?
To do what? Take the loss?
Well, he's not going to win the tournament. He's not going to be at Survivor Series. I can't wait for the LA Knight fan base to cry.
Dude, he went over his allotted time and got cut off in the middle of his promo during the commercial break last night. So, and it was funny too, because it was right at the moment that he made a comment about Cena, like, your time is up, and then they cut him off. Like, no, your time is up. So I don't trust that they're going to even put LA Knight, even though he does have beef with the Vision. It would make sense for him to be in there.
No Jimmy Uso either?
Uso. Look who you got on the Usos. Look who you got on the babyface team.
How many matches do we have to sit through? The Usos versus the Bronze. Now you don't want to do it.
Then what do you do with Cena, dude? He's got to wrestle on that show.
1-on-1 versus Rey Mysterio for the Intercontinental title.
No.
No?
No. You got to have Dom. Well, then you got to have Dom involved. How are you going to have Rey on the show in San Diego and not have something with him and Dom?
What are you going to do? Rey versus Dom for the AAA Mega Championship at Survivor Series?
I don't give a shit what title is on the line, but you could do Rey and Dom. Look.
Why would they do Rey and Dom at Survivor Series and then only do it again for the AAA Mega Championship? Aren't they setting up for that?
Eventually. But WWE is going to want to do the match. They don't just want it to be a AAA match. You don't think you could do the match more than once?
All right,
it's okay.
so this is deviating into a direction I don't really want it to go. I get what you're saying about the Survivor
Sure.
Series team, but you're gonna have to add another. We have 2 War Games matches. We got Ray versus Dom. What is the 4th match for Survivor Series? Stephanie Vaquer versus Nikki Bella.
I hope that's not the Survivor
What do we
Series.
do? I don't want to see that, man.
Well, look, I mean, if they're going to do 5-on-5, you could have Stephanie on one side, Nikki Bella on the other. I don't want to see Nikki Bella in War Games, though. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to think of, like, what does Cena do if he is not in the War Games match? Let's game this out here, because there's actually a few possibilities here. He just won, as you said earlier, he just won the Intercontinental title last night. He is now a Grand Slam champion. They have already confirmed earlier today, they confirmed he is wrestling in Madison Square Garden next week. Now, we don't know who he's wrestling. We don't know if he's defending his title. It's going to be a tag team match. We don't know. He could very well lose the belt next week at the Garden. I don't know that they want to beat him in Madison Square Garden next week, but who's to say he doesn't drop the belt right back to Dom? Then you could do Dom and Ray for the IC belt at Survivor Series, right? So that's one potential direction. If Cena holds that championship and goes to Survivor Series, he could defend the title on that show. And then it's just a matter of who makes sense for him to defend that title against. I don't know that they want him defending the belt on that show, but it all depends on what happens at the Garden next week. Is it going to be a short run? God forbid. I mean, do they have him go all the way to his retirement match? Because then there's only one outcome here that makes sense. So there's a lot of questions now, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's fun to talk about, oh, well, where's this going to go? And now it's kind of exciting to talk about what are they going to do here. Cena in War Games, though, it just feels like they're checking boxes off of things that he's never done before, like winning the title. I could see them being like he's never been in a War Games match before. We got to have John Cena in War Games. Couldn't you see them doing that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I pitched that months ago. I thought it was going to be a super conglomeration of like an Avengers.
That's what I just described.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Cena, Roman, Punk, Cody.
It's definitely one of the options. But now that he's the champion, it's really throwing like a bunch of question marks at you, because you think he may be defending the championship. They didn't really give him the championship to defend the championship on the way to the retirement match. So it's like something that they just wanted to give him as a thank you. Is another box checked off.
Like a gold watch.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, him in Survivor Series may actually be the best thing for him. Ray versus Dom, and then the Women's War Games match. But we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm struggling to come up with a 4th match there.
U.S. title open challenge. Well, we forgot the finals of the last time is now tournament.
There you go. That's the 4th match. Thank God we got those 4, because if I had to sit through Nikki Bella versus Stephanie Vaquer, my God.
Well, you will at some point.
At some point on Raw.
Not at Survivor Series.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like that makeup for the men's War Games team. I think McIntyre fits into there perfectly. I think that they just have to come up with Jason, like with what he said, with a way to get him in there, which hopefully they can do. Now, we'll deviate to John Cena, because this was another big talking point. He wrestled Dominic Mysterio last night for the IC title. I said this on my end. I wasn't judging this on a scale. I wasn't but judging this on any criteria. I didn't really look to compare this to anything that John Cena has done in the last 3 months. It was a moment in Boston. WWE's been about the moment. They gave him the moment. They gave Boston the moment. They gave him something that he hasn't achieved in his career. And it was a great open to the show. I love the open, minus the whole Triple H fucking everything is subjective and he can't stand the critiques of the business and all that other nonsense.
He had no business. Let me just say this. He had no business being out there. There was no reason for Triple H to be out there. You have a general manager on the show. He could have worked just fine in that spot. It was very clear, they had a sold-out crowd, all because of Cena. Next time they come to the TD Garden, they will not have 17,000 people there. So they had a packed house, big crowd, big moment, his last appearance ever in his hometown, and they fucking open with Triple H in the ring, cutting a promo and getting into, and you could tell that the criticism of the show and probably SmackDown got to him, because it was kind of tinged in what he was saying. Everybody's got an opinion.
Yes.
Fans got opinions. Media has opinions. Like, it's getting to him. It's getting to him.
Good.
No, good. Of course, good. But like, I'm watching him out there. I'm like, why is he here? Like, he didn't need to be there. Like, legitimately, he did not need to be a part of that segment at all.
I am the game.
In this business, like, really, like, this is not your moment, dude.
It's the Paul Levesque era, man.
Of course it is. No, I mean, look, he loves to make sure he's in the WrestleMania commercial, dude. He's in the commercial.
He's looking at the poker table.
He's like the pit master.
Yeah, exactly what he is. The pit boss, yeah.
Yeah, he's the pit boss. Yes.
Yeah, so he was out there. I thought the match was fine for what it was. I don't really look at Dominic Mysterio matches as like classics or anything. I wasn't looking
fine.
Yeah, it was good.
It was a very basic match.
Yes, with the same hijinks that Dominic has been doing to keep the title. So it all works.
This is the kind of match you can do when you're super over in your hometown.
Yeah.
When you're super over, you just do the bare minimum, and that's all you need to do. It was a very basic match. It was exactly the match it had to be. And I don't think Cena should be doing anything too crazy right now anyway, this close to his retirement match.
I mean, if he is in War Games, that's going to definitely be a topic of discussion for sure.
No, why would it be a topic of discussion, dude? He's going to be in a match with 9 other guys. Like, he doesn't have to do too much. He's not doing an Io Sky garbage can dive off the top of the cage. He'll be fine.
Well, he may be in there with Brock Lesnar. Who knows what he does? And if there's collateral damage in there.
He'll suplex him a few times. Believe me, I actually think Cena is safer in a match like that than he would be if he had to go out there for 15 minutes in a one-on-one match.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. So, yeah, Cena won the title, but it was not only him winning the title that was newsworthy. It was what John Cena said in the promo after Triple H was done fucking low-key burying the media and the critics of his product. He also said that John Cena is, what did he say? What was his terminology? The biggest asset to the business of all time is what he said?
Yeah, I love how we're grading who the greatest of all time is now based on how much of an asset they are. Apparently, that's the criteria now.
In my humble opinion, John Cena is on Mount Rushmore next to Hulk Hogan. And then Steve Austin is right there. For a fourth, it's subjective. But it's those 3 for sure, in my opinion. If we were allowed to talk about details about Mount Rushmore. But
okay.
Cena said that NXT is going to be part of the Saturday night's main event on December 13th. It's going to be one of those things where he gives back. He wants to give back to the kids, to the talents, the future of the company. He's been making the rounds in Orlando. He's been at the Performance Center. He's been hanging around Natty's dungeon and speaking to all the rookies and the trainees. So he's seeing things with his own eyes that maybe he hasn't seen before at this stage. And he really is excited about the future of the company. And when John Cena talks about wanting to give back and he wants to put the future, in the hands of these up-and-comers, these rookies, these kids, I genuinely believe that he means it. And I genuinely feel he wants to give back. And he wants to step away to make room for them so that we may find the next John Cena. I do find him to be very honest and upfront when he says these things.
Well, this thing is a play off of how he debuted. That's how I see it. Like this whole thing with this Saturday night's main event show that he just announced, it's the whole ruthless aggression thing. Because when he came out, that was part of the whole deal. Like, who's going to step up? And that's how he was able to show up on TV that first time and confront Kurt Angle. So he's thinking of it, I think, from the same perspective. Like, let's do something similar where we shine a spotlight on all of these young guys and girls who are ready to break out. And that way he's sort of paying it forward. So I like that. I like that aspect of it. And I even said this during my review. I said I would not at all be surprised if that legitimately was a request that he had. And he's notorious for not having many requests. But if he went to Triple H and management and said, look, this is what I want to do on that last show. And I think today Brian Alvarez had a comment that he made on Wrestling Observer Live where he said that was legit, like an idea that Cena had. I said, exactly. It's like that's what it felt like. That was not just storyline. This is something that he's been hanging around the PC and everything. And I think he's like, you know what? If I can use this in some way to help elevate that crop of talent that is ready to just break out, then I can use this tour to benefit them. And I think that's a great thing, that you would hope that a lot of people in his position, over the years, it would be nice if other people with his status level in the company would have felt the same way. I think that's a great legacy for him to leave.
I like that a lot. I'm looking forward to this show just based off that alone and who's going to show up there and who's going to show out, honestly. Yes, Brian Alvarez did say that today on The Observer. And now that he's the Intercontinental Champion, Jason, it sparks a discussion of, A, does he take the belt into Washington, D.C. on December 13th? And B, if he does, who? Who does he wrestle? Now, the major discussion is everybody is still hanging on Gunther winning this tournament, as Gunther was announced last night on Raw, wrestling his first round match next week in Madison Square Garden against Javon Evans, which I am very much looking forward to. Now, if it is Gunther, let's theoretically play this out in our head. If it is Gunther versus John Cena for the IC title, I don't know what good that does Gunther. I don't know why we go from Gunther holding the IC title for 666 days to then him dropping it to Sami Zayn to win the King of the Ring, win the World Championship twice, only to then win the Intercontinental title again. That doesn't really sound like a productive usage of Gunther's time. I don't really know why he would take that step down. The only thing I look at as a decision like that being made is it's almost like WWE admitting that the Intercontinental Championship has not been the same since Gunther last held it. And they just want to put her back on the guy that did so good with it, which I hope is not.
No, I don't think that. I mean, they're not basing their decisions here on how do we elevate the Intercontinental title or admitting that we have to do something to restore the value of the Intercontinental title. That really has nothing to do with it. But this is what I tweeted out 2 weeks ago, or a little less than 2 weeks ago, when I said there's just something about this notion of him possibly going into this match as the IC champ and Gunther beating him that really bugs me.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't need it. It's beneath him. And that's where I said it opens the door for Obafemi to be in the tournament, which if he is, he's got to win. And then what you accomplish, this goes exactly to what Cena talked about last night. This actually would fit perfectly. Because what you would be doing in that situation is you are taking someone who is clearly, well, we'll see if Triple H feels the same way, but clearly they have big plans for this person. And you're elevating him just by having him win the tournament. But you're putting him in this major match here where he has the opportunity to go in there and wrestle and beat the guy that they are constantly telling us is the greatest of all time. And in doing so, he wins a championship that he can then hold. That makes sense for someone like him to hold. And then you let him go on a tear. You know, for all the great stuff that Dragunov is doing with the U.S. title on SmackDown, Oba could do that with the IC title on Raw. Then it makes sense. And to me, that is the only scenario where that would make sense. Having him go all the way to December 13th with that championship, that makes sense. Him losing it to Gunther does not make sense. And I've heard from a few people who have asked me about Sheamus, and I'll say it here what I told them. The idea of Sheamus winning the tournament because there's a story to tell with him in that title. Not that I don't want to see the match. I would love to see one more match.
We may get it next week. Who knows?
That'd be fine. You can do it as Survivor Series. That's fine too.
That too, yeah.
But the idea that he would win the tournament and be his last opponent and then get that big IC title win off John Cena, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because it's John Cena's moment. It's his night. And I feel like when the time comes for Sheamus to have his moment, it can't be overshadowed by, John Cena in his final match. Like it's almost a disservice to Sheamus and the story for him.
No, there's only one place for that to happen, and it's at WrestleMania. Additionally, It goes against everything John Cena just said in this promo about showcasing NXT. You're going to give it to fucking Sheamus?
Yeah, it just, I know why people would want to see that, but that is completely the wrong time to do that. So, if you want to do it in advance of December 13th, then that's fine. But doing it on December 13th, or frankly, having anybody like a Sheamus, or I'm just saying Randy Orton, but like anybody like that, winning the tournament and going on to that show doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. You need to be looking at someone who I think he's never wrestled before. And ideally, it would be somebody who is younger, who could really benefit from it. And Oba checks all those boxes. Apparently, he came back tonight on NXT.
Yeah, I saw the chat talking about him as well. I agree wholeheartedly. I think if John Cena is still the Intercontinental Champion by the time December 13th rolls around, Gunther should not win this tournament. But I said this last night, and I'm interested to see what you think. It's a lot to ask Triple H because he's been fucking as safe and as sterile as anything I've ever seen this year. No chances, no risks, as safe as possibly anybody could be as a promoter and a booker. Do you think Triple H is going to take Obafemi, who everybody is incredibly high on? That's all I hear. Obafemi should win this tournament. He should be John Cena's final opponent. Taking Obafemi to the finals to beat Gunther, to then go on to wrestle John Cena in his last match, Obafemi on the marquee versus John Cena for the Intercontinental title, beat John Cena, become the Intercontinental Champion. I mean, that's one major moment after another major moment after another major moment. You're asking three huge things of Triple H for Obafemi to get to that point. Do you genuinely see them strapping the rocket to someone like that when we just got through with a Braun Breaker situation? I mean, it was right there. Everybody's like, Braun Breaker should be the next world champion. They had an opportunity to do it, and they didn't do it. And all we heard was, yeah, they're on their own timeline for when Braun Breaker's going to win the world championship. They went with the safe option in CM Punk. Do you genuinely expect them to do something? I would love to see it. Don't get me wrong, but it's more of a situation where I physically have to see that play out in front of me to believe that is actually happening.
Yeah, well, it's an opportunity for him, I think, to partially redeem himself after the awful first half of this John Cena retirement tour. Because when we look back on this retirement tour, I think we're going to look back a lot more fondly about the last leg of it than we are the first probably 75% of it. And that's on Triple H because he had the ability to book this thing out, for the whole year, and he dropped the ball on it big time. So I think it would be a chance for him to kind of redeem himself by doing something in the end that I think a lot of people would enjoy. I think Cena, frankly, would probably embrace using this finale, in a way like that. But it would also benefit him because he would be taking somebody that he can make a lot of money with. Yeah. At a time when he can really use someone like him on that main roster. Boy, could he use someone like that. Do I expect them to do it? I don't expect them to do a whole lot that, to me, makes sense because it is so out of the realm of what they would normally do. So, like you said, they play it safe a lot. So we
don't even know if he's in the tournament at all. We got these two mystery opponents. We have no idea what the fucking brackets are.
We have no idea if he's even in the tournament. I don't know why you don't release a bracket. You could have surprises. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have surprises. Just have a little fucking question mark or whatever. But like Sheamus and Rusev have advanced, and dude, I don't know are they wrestling each other? Are they wrestling other
that's
people?
What I said. I assumed they would, being that they were on the same show and in the same kind of...
We have no idea. So I agree with you. My faith level is very low, but it is something, and it's a lot of pressure to put on someone, especially a younger guy who has not been in that position before. But I think that if you are serious about trying to launch someone new and get them started off on the right foot, that's how you do it. That's funny that we're getting Gunther and Javon next week, because on this show last week, I talked about how if it were up to me, that would be the finals of the tournament.
Yeah, either that or the semifinals, yeah.
Well, I pitched for Gunther and Javon in the finals, and you do the underdog story with Javon, and ultimately he falls in the finals. And so we're getting it in the opening round, which is fine. I'm just glad they're doing the match. I think that's going to be tremendous. It's the first match that they have announced so far in this tournament that I am actually interested in. Yeah, I was like, when I saw that last night, I'm like, finally, a match that I'm like genuinely excited to see, and it's in Madison Square Garden.
Yes, they have, in my opinion, I know why they are like slow dripping this tournament. They want you to tune in and they want you to kind of, watch Raw the next week, and we're going to wait for the anticipation. But I mean, you announce a match like Gunther and Javon Evans. I don't know about you guys, but I'm fucking watching Monday Night Raw. I don't give a shit if they announce the bracket or not.
Well, they've already announced that John Cena is going to be there. It's not like we don't already have a hook, for the show next week. It's like, believe me, people, if they're going to tune in. So we have two matches coming up, including one this Friday where we're getting LA Knight against a mystery man who initially I thought maybe would be Gunther, and obviously it's not going to be him. I don't know about Randy Orton. My other thought was we're probably looking at Joe Hendry. I don't know how you feel about it, maybe being like a TNA guy. That's why they wanted to keep it quiet.
I could see Joe Hendry on Friday against LA Knight for sure.
But LA Knight going in there, can you imagine LA Knight goes in there and loses to Joe Hendry?
Oh, no, he'll make the second row.
Think so?
Yeah. I'm pretty confident.
The way his luck has been going?
Sure.
You're confident about that?
Bro, if he loses the first round, then there's going to be some questions towards Triple H.
There's already questions towards Triple H.
I mean,
the questions were already being asked.
The LA Knight fan base is coming up with conspiracy theories nowadays. Like, whose cereal did LA Knight piss in? Like,
I mean, we're getting to the point now where I'm not so sure it's a conspiracy anymore.
All right, well, we got LA Knight versus Mystery Man. And what's the other match on Friday? I forgot. What was the other match? Was it...
Now, what is the other match?
We got Jey Uso on one of them, right?
Oh, God. Yeah, The Miz. Okay, yeah. Jay,
can you imagine Jey Uso and the fucking Miz?
This is what I'm talking about. What I was genuinely excited when they announced Gunther and Oba because, or Gunther and Javon, because it's like we have The Miz against Jey Uso.
Bro, you can give me Gunther and Javon Evans in the first round. You can't give me Miz versus Mello and at least make sense of the who wants to see Miz versus Jey Uso?
Well,
you got one guy's going to be blown up before he gets to the ring, and the other guy's got the worst fucking offense in wrestling.
It's supposed to be random, JD. You can't do Miz and Mello in the opening round.
And
the balls are all random. And then the other thing they announced last night, which we're getting next Monday, is Solo Sikoa against a Mystery Man,
which could be Oba.
Could be.
I don't know. Yeah, the balls may be in R-Truth's balls or in Nick Aldis's hands. You see that last week on Friday?
Comedy.
Yeah, I didn't laugh. I didn't laugh at all.
You didn't find it funny? You didn't find the WWE comedy machine to be funny?
No, I didn't. The tournament did get started last night. The crowd in Boston, 18,000 deep, fell asleep for at least this first match. It was Damian Priest versus Rusev. They went 8 minutes. Rusev got the win. Damian Priest still selling the fireball to the eye by Aleister Black. Rusev looks to be moving on, maybe against Sheamus. We don't really know. I don't have a problem with them wrestling again. It will be a fourth time for that, but Sheamus beat Nakamura. We've seen better from Sheamus. This went about 10 minutes. Crowd kind of came alive towards the end of it, but it was as basic could be. StreamYard just gave you your expiration notice there.
Good. All right, good.
So yeah, those matches happened, and I just felt kind of blasé, Jason, about the way the tournament started and how you felt it was just kind of fundamental, just simple WWE booking.
Yeah, I mean, how did I feel? I feel like I was like numb at the fucking dentist's office. That's how I felt. I felt like I was on Novocaine. Like I didn't feel anything. And the crowd, they peaked in the opening segment.
Yes.
They were there to see John Cena. They were electric for that opening segment and that opening match. And then they just died a death for the two tournament matches where towards the end of Sheamus and Nakamura, they started to get them into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were very cold for those two matches. And I feel like maybe they're backloading it to where the more exciting stuff happens later on. But yeah, I mean, so far, as far as the beginning of this tournament, it's just very ho-hum. Now, it's a 16-man bracket, but we're already halfway through it. So we got to start seeing, I mean, Javon Evans is great. That's a great start, but we need some more youth in this tournament. I mean, if you look at the first two matches, Priest, Rusev, Sheamus, Nakamura and Sheamus, that's a combined 92 years old. Rusev and Priest is 82 years old combined.
Oh man,
it's about time we get a Javon in there, and maybe somebody else who's a little on the younger side. Hopefully, we'll start to see some of that. That'll be nice.
Chat saying you'd rather sit in the dental chair with Britt Baker as she novocaines you up for a dangerous surgery than watch Friday Night SmackDown.
Yes. Britt can do. Britt can do whatever, while I'm under anesthesia, and I will happily take that over watching Friday Night SmackDown.
Or Road Dogg.
Yes.
You see what Road Dogg is doing to everybody, man? It's not making fans anymore, Road Dogg.
Road Dogg touches it, and this is what happens, apparently. Can't put it all on him, though.
No, you can't. And we're not. Stephanie Vaquer, she wrestled Raquel Rodriguez, Women's World Championship match here. Stephanie wins. I made a mention where I think Stephanie's great. A lot of people think Stephanie's great. She's a fantastic professional wrestler. Raquel Rodriguez, I've praised her a lot this year. I think she's kind of come into her own as a member of the Judgment Day. I very much like the pairing of Roxanne and Raquel. I don't know if you've noticed, Jason, but I feel like WWE is even doing a disservice to Stephanie because, A, they really strapped that rocket pretty quickly to her, and I just wish they kind of let that happen a little bit more naturally, number one. Number two, I feel like they've put her in the ring. The Roxanne Perez match they're both great wrestlers. I just think they had an off night together. Hopefully they can kind of get back together and kind of fix that and have a much better match the second time. But I feel like Stephanie's in the ring with a lot of talent that is kind of beneath her. And I feel like Stephanie is playing catch up because not everybody is as good as her. I just felt like this match with Raquel was kind of slow and I don't know, just, it was just not there fundamentally. It was just not exciting to me. Meanwhile, Stephanie's a very dynamic performer. Now she's going to be getting into the ring with Nikki Bella. And that was the big story here at the end of this match. Nikki was there as an insurance policy to help shoo away Roxanne Perez. Stephanie wins. At the end of the match, they embrace, and then all of a sudden you see a belt shot to the face by Nikki on Stephanie, and she holds the championship up, and she rips her shirt off, and it says fearless, and she's now heel on Monday Night Raw. A, I feel like this could be good for her. B, I don't give a shit. She's going into a heel turn against a champion that's not going to lose the belt, so what's the point of the heel turn? That's what I pretty much came up with.
Well, the point of the heel turn is, Stephanie needs challengers, and so they've turned Nikki heel, and now it's someone for Nikki to, or for Stephanie to work with, and beat. She got to defend her championship against somebody.
Yeah, Nikki Bella, by the way, has lost her last 3 matches.
Yeah. Well, they didn't say she's immediately getting a title match. She's only gone heel. I would hope that she has to at least win a match before we get the championship match between her and Stephanie, because she, as you said, has lost her last, was it 3? I thought it was 2.
She lost the tag team match. She got the pinfall loss there. She wrestled Asuka, and then she wrestled Roxanne.
Well, look, if you lost 3 in a row, you might turn heel too. As long as she doesn't go immediately into a title match, then that's fine. If she is gifted with a championship match, well, then that's very stupid.
Yeah, I just can't bring myself to care. I understand that it's for Stephanie because she needs challengers and everybody else is tied up in the women's War Games match right now, but
they're not going to put the belt on Nikki Bella.
No, they're not. They're not. I guess it's innocent enough. I just don't give it. I can't bring myself to care.
No, I mean, I'm not saying I care about it either. I'm just saying, why are they doing it? Because Stephanie needs people to work with that she can easily beat before she gets to the bigger matches. For example, Stephanie and Rhea. Or Stephanie and maybe Liv Morgan when Liv Morgan comes back. So they're not ready for that yet. It's November, going into December. So who does she work with?
Nikki Bella.
Nikki Bella.
Nikki
there
Bella.
You go. Well, she might work with Roxanne next. And then if she beats Roxanne, maybe then Nikki comes at that point.
Sure.
I don't know when Nikki is going to come. I don't know. It'll be soon. What?
That's the way you said it. I don't know when Nikki's going to come, but
it's undoubtedly true, but
oh man,
move on from this.
Yeah,
You'll be in trouble.
Yes, I will move on. I will move on. Charlotte and Alexa, tag team champions coming in. Not the tag team champions walking out. Asuka and Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors, win the tag team championships last night. This was 11 minutes. This was a good decision because of the reasons why we talked about with Jade, because the tag team division is, number 1, dead. Number 2, Jade needs baby faces on SmackDown, and Alexa and Charlotte are 2 of the top baby faces in the entire division, never mind on SmackDown. So that is good as far as a creative move. Otherwise, Jade's going to be stuck in mid-card purgatory, and by the time we get to Bianca, nobody's going to give a shit. So that's number 1. Number 2, this was a vehicle to set up the Women's War Games match, which is where I have a problem with this. Now, Charlotte and Alexa, if you asked me 2 months ago, they were not even a thought in my mind about being a part of the Women's War Games. You looked at Monday Night Raw, and there was a bunch of more interesting things happening on Monday night where you could kind of piece together where the Women's War Games match was going. So at the end of this, Jason, we got Lash Legend and Nia Jax coming out there. Nia is falling out of her tank top three different times. And, we got Lash Legend there, and she's trying to get established next to Nia, and they take out the champions. Io comes out. She gets blasted. Rhea comes out. The baby faces stand tall, and we get Rhea announcing War Games with her face mask after she broke her nose in Perth over the last tour. So we got Charlotte, Alexa.
In Japan.
In Japan, sorry. Charlotte, Alexa, and Rhea, Io. So that's 4. Against Nia, Lash Legend, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. Mm-hmm. Now, I say I'm displeased with this because this just felt very rushed, very, very put together in the last minute. And I look at Monday Night Raw and I see Rhea, Asuka, Io, Kyrie. They belong in War Games. But then I'm questioning myself, what the fuck does Nia Jax and Lash Legend have to do with War Games? And I'm looking at their beef now in the last couple of weeks with Alexa and Charlotte. They clearly cost them the championships here. That's not enough to warrant putting all four of those women inside War Games, because I would think that we need more of a tension there to kind of build around War Games. Losing the tag team championships, getting screwed out of the tag team titles is not enough to put them in a double ring steel cage. And I'm looking at this Monday Night Raw roster. They've opted to choose Nia and Lash, Charlotte and Alexa over Bayley, Lyra, Roxanne, and Raquel, and then even Becky Lynch, she could still be added for all we know. We don't know if it's going to be 4-on-4 or 5-on-5. If you add Becky Lynch, it's not going to make any fucking sense. So I don't even know what the point of adding Becky Lynch is. You add AJ Lee. She had been on TV.
Well, I wouldn't say it would make any sense. I think that little tease we got a week or two ago where she confronted Asuka in the aisleway, I think that was a tell that there's going to be some sort of association there. I don't think they were teasing a match, but remember they had that little, confrontation.
They nothing ever was mentioned or brought up on the show. But yeah, I did recall that. But I mean, what does she have to do with any of the other women involved outside that?
At the moment, nothing.
So why does she belong
neither did Nia and Lash. I don't know why.
Why do they belong
that
there?
Would stop them from having Becky in the match, because Becky's a big name, and they would probably want Becky Lynch to be in War Games. I think we're going to get 5-on-5 with the men. I think we're going to get 5-on-5 with the women. I think that Becky is probably going to round out the heel team, maybe even captain the heel team if there's a captain. And I still think there's a chance that we get AJ Lee in this match, because they have set up a match for Madison Square Garden next week between Becky and Maxine Dupree for the Intercontinental title. We still don't know who this friend was that Maxine said she was going to consult with. But now she went and told Adam Pearce, I'm ready. I want the match. So they're doing the match next week. And I think, again, Madison Square Garden, I feel like that could be where AJ makes her return. Either helping Maxine win the championship, which I think there's a chance that could happen, or Becky beats Maxine, because Maxine's already beaten her twice. And then after the match, post-match beatdown, whatever's going on, out comes AJ Lee. Maybe AJ Lee is the friend, that she consulted with. And now they can pick up again with what we know is not done yet between AJ and Becky. And that's a way to get AJ with the baby faces, and you get Becky with the heels. And that's how you get to 5-on-5, and you reignite the issue between AJ and Becky.
So it's their issue. It's not a collective issue with five against five.
This is what they do, though. There's individual issues, and
well,
then
this
they
is awful.
Put everybody together.
This is awful. This is what I'm trying to say.
All right, well,
maybe I'm looking at it wrong. I mean, am I not supposed to think that all five of these individuals have an issue with all five individuals on the opposite side? We're supposed to just go into this with individual tensions with everybody, and then they all get paired on the same team?
That's what happens with traditional Survivor Series elimination matches, though. Also, back in the day, it was not always like one faction of 4 or 5. I mean, it was sometimes a mix of different issues, and you would hope it's something that at least has played out long term, and now it's paying off in some way. But it's not like, let's not pretend like this hasn't been the way it's been in the past. Sometimes you mix together different issues, alliances form. And that's how you end up with these matches. Only now it's War Games instead of an elimination style match. So it wouldn't be the first time they've done this. See, I think you've been conditioned to in recent years where it's Bloodline versus whoever the baby faces are. Or in NXT, it was the Undisputed Era. They had like fucking 3 years in a row of War Games matches. So you had a unit, you had a team, a crew, and whoever they were feuding with was on the opposite side. But that's not how Triple H, does it. That's not how it's going to be done this year. I think we're going to get 5-on-5, and I think there's going to be just a mix of different things, and people are just going to come together. Look at the Vision. The Vision is down to 2 people, dude. So you're going to have Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. They've thrown Logan Paul in there, who had nothing to do with any of this. If Brock is in there, which we don't even know, but if he is, it's going to probably be as a favor to Heyman. He has nothing to do with any of this. right? If McIntyre's in there, at least it ties into Cody. That's the only way to make sense of Cody being in it. So you kind of hope McIntyre ends up in there. So it's a mix of different things. It's not going to be any different on the women's side. You're going to get a mix. Charlotte and Alexa now have a bone to pick with Nia and Lash. They cost them their tag team titles. That's the issue. On the other side, Asuka and Kairi. And they've been having problems with Rhea and Io. So they're going to have their issue. You got 2 spots left. You got to find 2 people who have an issue with each other. Who would those 2 people be?
Becky Lynch and Maxine Dupree.
I don't want to see Maxine Dupree in fucking War Games.
Well, AJ Lee's been off television since WrestlePalooza. She hasn't said a fucking word.
And people have been asking questions like, where is she? They want her back. She signed a full-time multi-year contract. She's coming back. It's either here or the Rumble.
I'd love some reason to care. How could I care about her and Becky Lynch if she's been off TV since September? I get what you're saying. I'm not a dummy. I get what you're saying. It all makes sense. I said this last night, but it just fucking sucks. None of it makes sense. Just randomly throwing people out there and calling it a War Games. Like, the women's tension does not belong in a War Games. It doesn't. Like, why are we going the way of War Games when the volatile situation isn't even built for this type of match? It's not.
Because War Games was advertised 6 months ago for Survivor Series. So they have to do War Games matches.
I don't know. I think they had a lot better of an option instead of what we got last night. And Nia Jax, can I make a recommendation? Hopefully she comes in last and not first and doesn't spend 40 minutes in the match, please. Nobody wants to see that again.
Yeah, that was awful.
We may be looking at the worst women's War Games match of all time here.
I think given some of the talent that are in there, that's not going to be the case. I don't care how bad Nia may or may not be in the match. You have a match with Rhea, Io, Asuka, Charlotte, Kairi. Like, it's not going to be the worst women's War Games match we've ever seen. They'll find a way to make it work well enough. And on the men's side, again, you could argue that War Games does make sense as far as the Vision making people's lives hell now for a few months. That's why LA Knight should be in there, even though he probably won't be. But but when you only have 2 members of the Vision, it makes it hard to do a War Games match. Well, without adding in a bunch of people who don't belong there.
Do you think that they had plans for Rollins to be there? That's why they had
of course
Cody.
What else was he going to be doing?
I don't know.
He was going to lead the charge in War Games. And I think Austin Theory would have debuted. I think Austin Theory got fucked by Seth Rollins.
No, I'm saying, do you think Cody was always a part of the War Games plans? Being that if Rollins was still here, Cody would be on the babyface team.
I think there's probably a pretty good chance that, he would have been involved there. Not just because he and Seth would have been feuding still, but he had his issues with Seth, and Drew may have been in there also. It's like if Drew was in there, It's not just Drew on one side, Cody on the other. It's Drew on one side, Punk is on the other. So he's got multiple people that he has had issues with. So it kind of works. So I think, there's a pretty good chance Cody would have ended up in there regardless. But I really do think that go back to Dave. Dave is the first person I saw report Lash Legend's name in association with War Games. I'm like, where did that come from? And so we got Lash Legend. I think that we would have had Austin Theory as part of the Vision. And I think Seth's injury changed plans enough where they decided to go in a different direction. I think he got fucked. I don't know if that means they're just going to have him join later on, or maybe he's not going to join at all now. I don't know. But I think if things went according to plan, we'd be looking at a very different War Games match right now, at least on the heel side.
Yeah, well, I'm going to feel the way that I feel about it. I get why everybody is there and what the whole premise is. It comes together so last minute and so lazy. I just can't get behind it. I'm not really looking forward to it. There are things I am looking forward to, certain tensions and individual feuds I'm looking forward to, but as a collective, to see everybody in the same match and some of these women don't have anything to do with the other, it just takes away from the enjoyment of the whole match. Like, I don't really give a shit. I just felt like they had a better layout for women's War Games, especially just being on Monday Night Raw. They got to add SmackDown into this, and SmackDown largely has been awful. So it's like, I don't really care. And nobody cared about anything coming off SmackDown. And they had Lyra and Bayley there. Bayley's from San Jose, and they're going to be in San Diego. Bayley's not going to be a part of Survivor Series. Lyra's been on the entire on Raw all year working a wrestler. If she's not in War Games, it's just kind of bizarre to me. But I don't know. So those are 2 that we're getting at the end of the month. And we're going to kick the War Games festivities off on Wednesday, where AEW is up at bat first here with Blood and Guts. We got a men's and a women's War Games.
We just talked about 2 War Games matches.
Yeah.
But we have 2 more that we have to talk about.
2.5 hours Dynamite is on Wednesday. We got a match also here with Adam Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs in a Falls Count Anywhere match. After Adam Page was World's Strongest Slammed off the stage last week. And then after that incident happened, Tony Schiavone quickly went off the air and said that we're getting a Falls Count Anywhere match, signed, sealed, and delivered next week on Dynamite. So that's going to continue the Hangman and Samoa Joe dilemma going into Full Gear. But the War Games or Blood and Guts matches are as follows here. We'll start with the men. Darby Allin, Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly, the conglomeration, against Jon Moxley, Pac, Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, and Claudio Castagnoli, the Death Riders, in a Blood and Guts match. Who you going with, bro?
I'm going with the baby phases.
You're hoping Jon Moxley is booted out of the Death Riders, huh?
I'm hoping this is the beginning of the end of Jon Moxley and the Death Riders, yes.
Okay.
At least the beginning of the downfall. If he doesn't just flat out get, attacked, but the only way that works is if Moxley is the one to surrender.
Yeah. He almost has to.
He almost has to. Otherwise, what's the point of continuing on the Darby and Moxley stuff beyond what we saw at Wrestle Dream?
Oh, they'll be wrestling one another at Full Gear. That whole card is going to be rematches of Wrestle Dream. You know that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess so. What else would they be doing? There's not really a whole lot of time for them to book something completely new for them to be doing. It's 10 days later.
Yeah, it is. That's true. You know why they're doing it? Because they realize that you didn't cover the show after Wrestle Dream was over. You didn't spend 6 hours with them, so they're going to redo it just for you.
Well, then I may have to skip Full Gear as well, and I'll give them the satisfaction.
Yeah, I'm going with the baby faces here. I don't care literally about any of this. The Death Riders are just literally death on television, and the conglomeration, you couldn't pay me to care about Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy. Not since the days of Undisputed Era. Orange Cassidy is just, for the last 6 years, nothing has changed there. Mark Briscoe, I adore him. I think he's great. And Darby, I don't really care about his issue with Jon Moxley. It's been done to death, no pun intended, and I just want to see it kind of end.
So what are we getting here? Are we getting staple guns? Are we getting barbed wire?
We're getting, actually, I do think that we get fire. I do. Or at least a tease of fire.
Does anybody take a big bump off the top of the cage?
Yes. Yes, I think clearly Darby's going to go off the cage. And I think the recipient of that is either going to be Yuta or Danny Garcia. I don't think they risk Pac, being that he's very fragile in injury now lately. But, I think Darby's going to do something crazy. Will they come in with weapons? What's the setup? What was the setup last year? Were they in shark cages? What was it? Were they hanging around the ring before they got called in there?
No,
the shark cages are kind of lame, don't you think?
Yeah, they are very lame. I like the way it used to be back in the day. I mean, where it was like all the guys would be congregated right outside, like huddling and watching and like chomping at the bit, waiting for the countdown to end and then climbing in. And now they have the shark cages. The only time it really worked well was what they did in NXT when Dakota Kai turned on Tegan Nox.
Yeah, that was great.
And Morrow's call. Like that was perfect. But yeah, otherwise the shark cage stuff, it was kind of amusing last year with Roman and Punk, and they were kind of side-eyeing each other. But I kind of wish they were just at ringside, just watching on and waiting to climb in. And yeah, I don't think they did shark cages. I don't remember what the AEW format was last year.
Yeah, I don't know what it was either, but I kind of like the fact that everybody's kind of huddled on the outside, and it's just a little bit more visceral, a little bit more real, instead of putting everybody in a fucking shark cage and then the buzzer goes off and they run out like fucking lemmings.
Yeah, yes, stun gun, definitely, yes. Stun guns, tasers,
stun guns, tacks,
fish tanks. We're gonna have it all.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, they're in North Carolina. Does any of that shit fly in North Carolina? Probably not.
Greensboro. Come on, it's wrestling. It's old school, man.
Well, we'll see. Right now they got, let's see, what do we got as far as ticket sales here? I think I've seen something on Blood and Guts. They got 4,600 tickets out the door. Current setup is 5,125. Kind of a far cry from where they were with Sting's retirement, huh?
Well, I mean, Sting's retirement had 16,000.
Yeah, but Blood and Guts was in Newark, New Jersey with 12,000 people a couple years ago.
I'm saying Sting's retirement show, the last time they had a big show in that building, 16,000 people.
Yeah.
And they're not even close to half that now.
No, it's a huge tell on what the product is and how hot the product is right now. Not very. So yeah, that's the men's match. Women's match is 6-on-6. We're breaking the rules for this one. Mercedes, Megan Bayne, Marina Shafir, Tekla, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue versus Chris Statlander. The only reason why Mercedes is there because, well, they wanted to add Mercedes. I'm assuming Mercedes wanted to be a part of the women's first ever women's Blood and Guts match. So by default, Tony Khan had to add Statlander to make sense of Mercedes being there. Statlander, Tony Storm, Willow Nightingale, Mina Shirakawa, who's filling in for Queen Aminata, who is apparently injured, Jamie Hayter, and Harley Cameron. So that is the women's Blood and Guts match. How you feeling about this one?
Well, how I feel about this one is I don't see Mercedes losing back-to-back matches. So I think that she is going to lead the charge, and I think the heels are going to get the win here. I think it's the baby faces on the men's side. I think it's the heels on the women's side.
I agree. And then we will get Mercedes and Stat at Full Gear for the AEW Women's Championship. Any craziness here? Who do you think is going to be the standout in this match here?
You know, it's hard to say. I mean, there's 12 women in this match. Willow is in there. Wait, is Willow in there?
Willow's in there.
She is in there. Yeah, so Willow, I can see Willow doing some crazy stuff. Megan Bayne. I mean, as far as one woman taking some kind of like big wacky crazy bump, I don't know if there's any one person like you could look at Darby in the men's match and say, oh yeah, this person's definitely.
I could see Tackle doing something a little crazy.
Nothing I think as crazy as what we'll probably see in the men's match.
No.
I'm sure somebody will do something stupid in the men's match. But I mean, look, you got a lot of really talented women in the match. And in this case, many of these women have been feuding for months. You know, on Collision mostly, but they have been feuding. And so here now they're going to be able to blow off all of this hatred and animus and everything. And yeah, I think that it should be good. It gets a little busy when you've got 12 people instead of 10. Well, I mean, it's not a huge difference, but you got to have 12 women in there. And I'm sure they'll have weapons too. And I just think the heels get the win here. I don't think you're going to have 2 babyface wins or 2 heel wins. So I think that's how it works out.
Well, it should be an interesting episode of Dynamite, entertaining episode of Dynamite. So it is all about Blood and Guts tomorrow on TBS. I want to end with this because there was a couple of noteworthy things to come off of Dynamite last week. One of them, we'll start with this. Mercedes and Athena wrestled Willow and Harley. Were you surprised to see them actually lose in the first round of this tournament?
No. Okay. No, not after what happened last week. Once Sky Blue and Julia Hart beat Jamie and Aminata, I think it made it very likely that this was going to be the outcome here. Had that not happened, I would have been more surprised. Yeah. Once I saw that, I said, I wonder then if they get bounced out of the opening round. Because for them to move on, and then you do heel on heel in the next round, that just didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. So I was not surprised, and I was not surprised that it was Athena who took the losing fall.
No, I wasn't surprised at that either. Do you see Willow and Harley actually maybe winning the tournament here and becoming the first inaugural champions instead of Tony and Mina, which is very predictable?
I mean, there's a chance. I'm still sticking with Tony and Mina.
Okay.
There's a chance.
All right.
I wouldn't be stunned if it happened, but I still think Tony and Mina, you know, the 2 women who lost everything, and this is what they end up with. I think they win the tag belts, and then eventually they lose them to, you know, somebody who could really benefit from it.
All right. And then this was the biggest talking point from Dynamite. We'll end with this before we get to your super chats. I laughed my ass off at this. This was hilarious that AEW, they feel like they need, out of everything else that's a problem on that show, they need another new title. So we have the new national title, and it arrives, and it caused some controversy with the NWA, who also has a national champion in one Mike Mondo. So he was very blunt about what he thought of Tony Khan's new championship. He said, let me be clear. There is only one NWA, and there is only one prestigious national championship that holds legit lineage and has for decades. He goes on to say, so Tony Khan or anyone else confused his legit title. He showcased a picture of himself on social media with the company it belongs to and the legit national champion. My name is Mike Mondo. They made this announcement. Oh, God, I'm sorry.
You remember Mike Mondo, right?
No, fill me in or refresh my memory.
Spirit Squad.
Get out of here. That's
Mikey.
Wow. I did not know that, dude. I did not know that. Wow. That's good for him.
You look at him then and you look at him now physically. Like
I couldn't. I would have never known that if you told me.
Two totally different people.
He don't even look like the same guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's coming from NWA. Apparently, the NWA national title has been revived at various times since it last appeared on TBS, and is being used today by the NWA, which I just read his tweet. The championship is currently held by Mondo, who complained on social media. And notably, we could not find any trademark registration, says Fightful, or applications by AEW, the NWA, or any other entity to protect simply national championship or any variation that may be tied to a championship title. This isn't surprising since the phrase may be considered descriptive and has been used across decades by different entities before Corgan's underlying Lightning One Inc. entity, who took on the NWA name. That may make it especially difficult to register and enforce as a trademark if either company wanted to. So this is where it gets interesting, and this is coming from, I believe, WrestleNomics and Brandon Thurston. So the trademark dispute that's going on between AEW and NWA has nothing to do with the national championship. It has to do with the name Shockwave. The NWA wrestler known as Brian Idol claims in posts online that the introduction of the new title by AEW is in response to the Shockwave dispute between AEW and NWA. I absolutely agree with Brian Idol. On September 6th, according to public filings with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, this was by WrestleNomics, AEW attempted to register AEW Shockwave under what's called 1B, or intent to use basis, meaning AEW was not yet using the name publicly, but wanted to secure rights to it in advance. Soon after, since filing disclosed the trademark was intended to be used for a television program, wrestling media took notice. There was video of Swerve talking about a possibility of a new home for AEW on Fox. Given that was more than a year ago, if any significant talks between AEW and Fox were happening, it seems unlikely at this point that anything like a new show on Fox is going to materialize soon. But as media and fans took notice of AEW's trademark application, the NWA did too. A few weeks after AEW's application on September 23rd, 2024, the NWA filed its own application to register NWA Shockwave, and unlike AEW's filing, the NWA filed the application under 1A or use in commerce basis. That means they claim that they were already using the name in business, specifically since December 1, 2020, when they debuted a series of events that were streamed on YouTube with that branding. Now, Jason, all of that legality-wise, I mean, that's just laughable that Tony Khan would even contemplate, because he can't get the trademark for Shockwave, to get back at them and name a new championship on AEW television as the same as NWA's championship and kind of disregard the lineage or the prestige of the national championship. But the funny thing is that I don't know how anybody is looking at this and enjoying this, number one, and looking at this as something, yeah, we need this. This is exciting. I can't wait for it. This national championship is going to be on the line in a gauntlet match at Full Gear. And they presented Bobby Lashley and Ricochet and Shelton Benjamin as three of the top guys so far in this gauntlet match. But the funny thing is, we've already had a national championship. It was called the All-Atlantic Championship in AEW. They got rid of that and renamed the All-Atlantic Championship the International Championship, which was supposed to be used to go across the world, indies, at different promotions with the AEW branding and getting their name out there on a global basis. The International Championship was kept as is, but at the same time, we created the Continental Championship. We had a whole tournament to crown a Continental Champion. One Eddie Kingston, and then Okada. Okada's held it since. He beat Eddie Kingston. There's not been any other Continental Champions. In that time period, we went from an International Championship to an American Championship, which MJF used as a vehicle in his feud with Will Ospreay going into All In last year. So then we got the International Championship back, only to then put it on Kenny Omega who held it for the match with Okada. And this year on July 12th, we got the international champion versus the continental champion, and we merged them together to come up with the unified champion. So Okada held the international championship, the continental championship, and now he's the unified champion, and he's still carrying around all three belts, and the lineage of all three belts is still on AEW. So they haven't gone anywhere. So Jason, what he theoretically did, Tony Khan, is come up with a belt that basically is the same as the original concept of the international championship, while at the same time basically negating everything that happened at All In with Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada and making that match and what it meant to unify those championships fucking useless. So I don't know how anybody's looking at this and not laughing, but this is the basis. This is the whole ideology around AEW in 2025, bro. They are, and I know I'm hard on them, and I'm going to say this, and there's nothing to do with what Jason feels about it. They are fucking clueless. And it's nothing more than sheer comedy coming off Wednesday nights. I thought that was ridiculous that we got another new championship, one that is certainly not needed.
Well, I mean, there's two things. So, number one, we are currently in the middle of a tournament to crown new women's tag team champions. And those championships have not even been decided yet. And we have this announcement that there's another championship that will be decided upon at Full Gear.
Yes.
So they kind of trampled on the existing tournament in a way, because it does take some of the attention away from that. They actually have another tournament also in since they lump Ring of Honor in with everything else. Ring of Honor has a tournament that's been ongoing for the Women's Pure Championship. So we have that as well. That's another title that's being introduced. So now we have this one. This is like the third one now. I said, on my end, I said, the thing that really I find to be the most hilarious is that you mentioned the All-Atlantic Championship. I love the original concept of that title.
So do I.
And they even aired, like Pac went and defended that title in Rev Pro, and they aired the match on AEW Dark.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is cool. Like, if they make this like a regular thing, that could be, like, at the time, that was something different. And then for whatever reason, they got away from it. They rebranded the belt as the international title. And once they did that, for the most part, they really just stopped doing that. What I find funny, though, is that they had an international championship, and then they unified it, right, with the continental title, even though technically they still both exist. Now they've created a national championship that is going to be defended internationally. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. God, because that was the thing you forgot to mention, is that this championship is going to be defended in Ring of Honor, CMLL, New Japan, independent promotions around the world, around the whole globe. So it really is an international title, which they had, and now we have a national belt that will be defended internationally. So I'm not really understanding the point of any of this. It is just utterly pointless to me. I know they talked about how Tony Khan has always wanted to see the national championship back on TBS. It's been 40 years. To go back to the NWA stuff, I don't know that I buy that this is purely a reaction to that. I genuinely think that he loves introducing new championships. And I think he has all of these ideas. I bet you there's more titles that we don't even know about yet that are being worked on. Like the physical belts are probably being produced as we speak. We don't even know about them. Because remember, the women's tag belts were sitting in a vault somewhere for over a year. And then there was that rumor about father and son belts. I don't know what happened with that. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
What were they called? The intergenerational tag team titles?
Yes, the intergenerational tag team championships.
Oh, my God.
So I would not at all be shocked if those are sitting somewhere. And the sad part about it is, like, if you're going to introduce new championships, and this goes for both companies, because WWE has a lot of belts too, I would I see it with Chelsea and Ethan. I think having mixed tag team championships could be fun, but I have no interest in seeing them now because we've reached our max limit of how many belts that there could possibly be. And if we didn't have all of these belts, I actually think mixed tag team titles could be fun, but you can't do it now. They already have a surplus. They have too many belts. But those belts, I think, okay, that could be interesting because now you're pairing off, some of the men and the females, and like that could be fun. The national title, like what purpose does this serve other than to water down and devalue the TNT title? I think that's the championship that really gets devalued here. The TNT title used to really mean something, like when Darby had it and Cody had it, and we're like a long ways from that. And so it's great that Kyle Fletcher's, having the chance to, have a championship, and we'll see what he does with it. But then you introduce something like this, I think it takes away from him, and I think it takes away from that title. So I think it's completely unnecessary. It's very stupid. I don't understand why this is needed.
Who's gonna win it, bro? Ricochet or Bobby Lashley's gonna win it. And he's gonna put it on one of those guys to justify the fact that they are better off with the championship, and they've been going 50-50 booking for the last 2 months.
I think part of the problem also is I think there's a reliance in the absence of good stories for some of these people. There's this reliance on, well, we'll just create new championships. So we can give the championship to this person. We can give the championship to that person, and then they have something to do. But that doesn't mean the title is going to mean anything. There has to be some story there. If you can come up with like a compelling story for that person and that person and that person, you don't need to create new belts. You could just build them up to where they could challenge for the existing ones that you have. So I feel like it's being used as a crutch where we could just keep introducing belts because our roster is so damn big and we have so many people under contract. We need so many more belts than the average promotion would need. I don't subscribe to that theory. I don't think that's true at all. So it's totally unnecessary, and I just laugh when I think that we're going to have a national title where the premise is that it gets defended internationally. I just find that very funny.
How soon before we get the AEW Galactic Championship, or the Transdimensional Championship, like I mentioned on Wednesday?
Well, that used to be Chris Statlander's old gimmick, right? She was
yes,
at the Galaxies and stuff.
Or the AEW Please Notice Me Ring of Honor Championship.
Well, that belongs to Bandito.
Yes, it does. But that's all we got for you guys. Thank you very much for what I thought was a great discussion. We're going to get into your super chats in just a second. If you guys want to hit that thumbs up for us, I would really, really appreciate it. Let's try and get that as close to 1,000 as possible. We are looking at 743 likes, and we have up towards, we have over 2,400 people in here. Look at that. So
yeah, we had over 25 before.
Look at that. So if you guys want to do that for us, we can easily get to 1,000. So please go and do that. Super chats are open. We're going to get into them in a second. If you want to follow Jason on social media and on YouTube, he is down in the description. You guys can go find him wherever he is. And
yes, thank you for 89,000.
I was going to say, look at that. Yeah, on the way to 90 now. Look at that. So let's get into, who do we got first here? Michael Krause, $2 super chat. The best in the game, JD Jason. Let's go. Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
Shout out, Michael.
Olivia with a 2. Hey, JD Solo. Do you think Rusev wins the tournament? No. Rusev is not going to win the last time is now tournament.
I think Rusev may have had his only win last night.
Yes, I agree.
It might be as far as he goes.
Our guy Bader Muhammad. What's up, brother? Hello, JD Jason. I've skipped Raw and SmackDown for the last 6 weeks. There is genuinely no excitement to watch these shows ever since that great WrestleMania 40 build. I can feel that sentiment, Bader. I really can. WrestleMania 40 was the last great showing for this company, honestly. And a lot of that had to do with Cody Rhodes and The Rock being involved and him wrestling. And it was literally a moment in time we may never see again, honestly. Boss Mo Jackson with a $4.99. I look forward to this show every week. All the knowledge, insight, ideas, being on point. This show starts my week off awesome. And he also says, your honest thoughts on Jasper Troy and Josh Briggs. He also says, imagine Jericho returns, cuts a promo, interrupted by LA Knight. Jericho says, do you know what happens to idiots who interrupt me? And then Jericho pulls out his pen and says, you just made the list. No, I don't want Jericho to bring the list back. Maybe as like an homage at for one thing, but I don't want to see him center his whole gimmick around that.
Yeah, Jericho is not really the kind of person who is just going to recycle old gimmicks.
Yeah.
especially as long as he's been gone from there. I think when we see him, it'll be some different version of him that we've never seen before.
He just posted on Instagram this past week. He just turned 55. He looks ready for the Rumble, in my opinion. Does he come out to Judas or does he come out to the old Break the Walls theme? What do you think?
I think that they would initially want him probably to come out to his old theme so that the audience recognizes it. I kind of want him to use Judas, though.
Me too. I would love to see that. You know what theme I like? I liked not Show Miz. Jericho and Big Show's theme together.
Jericho.
Yeah, Jericho. I thought that was a great theme.
Yeah.
Bossman Jackson also says this show starts his week off awesome. Thank you, brother. We're happy that you are with us every Tuesday. Jasper Troy and Josh Briggs. I didn't care about them. I think Josh Briggs is okay. Not a big fan of Jasper Troy yet, but Josh Briggs is solid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen too much of Jasper Troy. What I've seen of Josh Briggs, again, I think he's solid. I think he's like a solid, kind of middle of the card guy there in NXT who could probably fill the same role on the main roster.
Michelle with a 2. Imagine Drew in War Games versus Cody Punk Roman. Sweets. Yes, I hope that that works out that way because he has history with a lot of guys in there. ZR the Hedgehog with a $2 super chat. If you're with JD, does that mean you're not solo anymore? Oh, no, he's very much solo.
Not on Tuesdays.
Not on Tuesdays. Boots with a 5. In the future, do you see Tony Khan introducing state championship titles? 100 new titles. Monet could get at least 50 of them to pad her record.
Got the Chicago title. Got the Greensboro title, the Jacksonville title. Don't give him any ideas.
I wouldn't be surprised, man.
Don't give him any ideas.
This is Base Bears with a 2. Kabuki Bukaki. Okay. I'm assuming you're a fan of the Kabuki Warriors.
Among other things.
Yes. Bossmo Jackson with the 499. Which title belt has the best design in your opinion? What is your favorite DC and Marvel characters? I feel like we answered that DC Marvel. Batman. Mm-hmm. I like Iron Man. Best belt design currently out of the ones. I think the AEW Men's World Championship is the best looking World Championship design by far. And if I could give a notable one that's not on TV right now, the NXT United Kingdom Championship. I thought that was a beautiful title.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about current titles, I still think in terms of world championships, the AEW World title is probably tops.
Yeah.
Once New Japan got rid of the V4 version of their IWGP title, because that to me was number one. Once they got rid of that, I think the AEW title is number one for me.
Yeah, that was a nice one too. Sidro with 38 months. Thank you, brother. And a $5 super chat. He says, I would tell a chemistry joke, but all the good ones are gone. And
Argon.
Yeah, Argon.
I got that. I got that.
Okay. And you hear about the snowman who got upset when the sun came out. He had a total meltdown. He also says, Satan welcomes a soul to hell. Congratulations. You wasted your pitiful life. Man says, well, at least I'm not an adult living in my father's basement. For all we know, I still get the mother's basement joke. So you live in your mother's basement. Okay.
That's always the go-to.
That's
even from like actual like wrestlers sometimes. Like, oh, they live in their mother's basement.
Yeah, that's
like, really?
that's
Can you
old.
come up with some fresh material?
Yeah, that's old, man. No, that's not going to fly in 25. Boss Mo Jack with the 499 solo. Can you explain the Be the Booker segment on your show? Are the winners to those fantasy matches? How are winners determined? I'm curious over here.
Well, I mean, I imagine that you have watched them before. It's pretty straightforward stuff. It's all totally random. It's a randomizer that I created. I update periodically. And there's 3 rounds. There's a tag team round. There's a women's round. There's a men's round. So you book one of each. You never know who it's going to land on. It's a mix of past talent, current talent, talent that might be dead, talent that might be alive. I mean, mostly alive. And then we get to judge, whether or not these are matches that people would actually pay money to see. And I have found that on many nights, especially on Friday nights, I have been booking matches and cards that are much better than the ones that are being presented to us on TV.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either. So it's a fun bit of randomness and zaniness is what it is.
Base Beers with it too. Cena has beat Mysterio, or Cena has beat 2 Mysterios for championships. He has. Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm surprised we're not. We may not be on that road to Cena Mysterio in his final year.
Yeah, I don't know that Ray is. I don't know that Ray is necessarily medically cleared yet, unless maybe he is, or maybe they're waiting until whenever he
got physical with Dom last week, didn't he?
He got physical with him, but I don't know. Maybe he's not ready to have a match until Survivor Series. I don't know because he is coming off an injury. So I think maybe had he not been hurt, possibly we would have gotten it earlier this year.
Robbie,
but now I just feel like it's too late. I just don't.
Yeah. There's only 3 matches left.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening.
Robbie Friends 3804 with the $4.99. I'm glad we're past the dark ages, but I missed the rants against People Power, the Beaver, and Bruce. Yeah, I'm glad those days are over, man. I don't want to go back there. Bizzle is back with the 2. West Side Gun has an affiliation with MVP, maybe. Oh, maybe. Well, it's not really a reason to kick him out of a fucking venue after he paid $5,000 for seats, but is he the one who did Hurt Sending music? Is that correct?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who did their
that
music.
Could be. Yeah, maybe. You may be onto something, Bizzle. I don't know. Caden with a $1.99. Is there any way to salvage Julia? There is. Like Jason said, it's not like completely fucking dead, but it's going to take a lot of work. And I don't really trust the writing team over there. Sidro told the joke to JD. New gimmick for Trick. He has lice and they call him Tick Williams. If you tick him off, you gonna be ticked on. Hashtag whoop that tick. Yeah, it didn't get him, brother.
I don't think that's a main event gimmick.
No. Twister with a $9.99. Petition to cancel SmackDown and just have Raw for the rest of 25. Who's in? How much is USA Network paying for that show? 190 million?
I thought it was $1 billion over 5 years.
Is it really that much?
I thought so. Let's see.
Oh my God. They are not getting their return on their investment, I'll tell you that right now.
Well, let's see, per year. Let's see. SmackDown, media rights deal, NBC Universal. Let's see.
I thought it was like a combined 1 point. Let's
see. Financial terms were not disclosed, but sources say the new deal is worth roughly $1.4 billion.
Oh my.
Up from the $1 billion that Fox paid in 2019.
Yeah, USA Network got swindled.
Yes, they did.
Yes. Alex with a 20. What's up, man? Brother JD and Solo, in the Mania 42 promo videos involving Punk, Cody, Roman, and Lesnar, have you guys noticed there's an empty seat around the poker table? Maybe a seat reserved for a surprise like Jericho, possibly.
No. If there is a surprise, it will not be Jericho.
Yeah, Bully Ray called this out. A lot of people were like, "Oh, it's The Rock." I don't care. They're very well done. I don't really care.
I'm waiting for the Brock commercial because we got the commercial. We got the commercial for Roman. We got one for Cody last night, so we'll get one for Punk next probably. Yeah. And then what is that Brock commercial going to look like?
I don't know. You said he looked half asleep at the table.
He looked, fucking bags under his eyes and shit. Like, is he going to talk? Like, what's he going to say?
Alex, thank you, brother. True Crime Unleashed. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, maybe that's why Heyman is in the background. Heyman will do all the talking.
Yeah, probably. True Crime Unleashed with a 5. WWE's repackaging Julia because she's not getting over with the crowd. That's the reason they took the title off of her. Creative was another reason. Sure. What are they going to repackage her as? I don't know. Hopefully it's something
I don't know, but I
resonates with
remember
fans.
back in the NXT days. Remember when Saray was there?
Yes.
And then they gave her the magical pendant.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, she was a schoolgirl who turned into a Power Ranger.
Yes, she was. What was it a play off of? The character that she was playing?
The Powerpuff Girls?
No, it was a play off of. God, what was the character that she was supposed to be like? And not Punky Brewster. What was? Let me see if I could. This is going to annoy me now.
Punky Brewster?
I mean, I'm dating myself now. That's going back a little too far. But it was based off of a character. It was just so blatant.
Yeah, we'll look that up. Sailor Moon.
That's what it was.
There you go. Chad always comes in clutch. Sailor Moon.
Sailor fucking Moon. That didn't last very long.
Can you imagine, man? Oh, God. That NXT, man. They should have blew that shit up fucking never to be seen again.
A magical pendant gifted to her by her grandmother.
Yeah.
Remember those entrances where she would be walking through the back and then the smoke?
Yeah.
And then when she would come out, she looked totally different.
God, that is so awful. Oh, my God. Better Network with a 5. Demand, swirl, conglomeration. Demand, swirl, conglomeration.
Swirl?
That's the name of Lee Johnson and Vanilla Baby's tag team.
Swirl?
The swirl, yeah.
What is that supposed to mean?
It's like an ice cream swirl. Chocolate and vanilla?
I know what that. Yes, I know what a fucking ice cream swirl is. But like, is it because they look different, so it looks like a swirl? Is that
bro? You're asking me questions I have no answer to, man. I don't know.
Weird name for a team.
It's on Collision and Ring of Honor. You think I pay attention to these shows?
Are they swirling down the toilet bowl? Probably.
Just
right?
like the ratings are, yeah. Demand, I don't like the name Demand either, and Conglomeration couldn't give a single shit about him. Emoji with a 5. Emoji Matt. They did us a huge favor. I can now live the rest of my life without hearing people complain that Cena wasn't a Grand Slam champion. Who? I enjoyed it for what it was. I'm not going to shit on it. Cena's one of the greatest of all time. Happy for him. Emoji Matt also. Callis family versus MFTs. I'm absolutely taking the Callis family.
Yes. Without a doubt. At least with the Callis family, we have actual character development.
Yes, and a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore Jackson with a 199. Name a cartoon that should be made into a movie. I don't know. I think everything's been
Beavis
done
and
by now.
Butthead, they already did a movie for that one.
Family Guy's had several movies.
Mm-hmm. They have a South Park movie?
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know. I have no idea. I'll have to think about that one. Right Leak with a 499. SmackDown has no soul? Question mark. Maybe The Rock took SmackDown's soul since Cody wouldn't let him have his. Yes. I mean, ever since that fabled February evening where he announced that New Orleans was not getting, or New Orleans was getting WrestleMania, only to rescind the offer, something happened there, man. And listen, New Orleans is very haunted, bro. It really is. I don't know. Maybe the spirits have cursed SmackDown. I have no idea.
That would all make sense. That's why SmackDown has no soul. The Rock took it.
Yes.
Cody said no, so he had to get it from somewhere.
Right, Leak. Thank you, man. Comment of the evening. Terry Allen Jr. with a 3. Does Master P visit House of Glory occasionally? No. I genuinely don't know if there's any affiliation there, but I don't run the business. Baltimore Jackson with a 199. SmackDown needs a complete overhaul. Yes, it does. Ryan Awesome, 499. Who would win in a shouting match between John Taffer and Paul Heyman? John Taffer.
Yeah, I would say Taffer.
Thundercats, chat saying. Thundercats movie.
Yeah, I guess there wasn't a Thundercats movie. We had a He-Man movie, but no Thundercats.
Baltimore Jackson with the 499. Signing new talent and moving NXT talent only puts a Band-Aid on issues. That's creative. They've been under Vince too long. They adopted his habit and his ways. You're not wrong. Some of Vince's ways are still very prominent on the show, and a lot of that is because Bruce Pritchard still exists. Honestly. Jericho with a 20. The Raw Women's Division this year got Roxanne Perez, Stephanie Vaquer, Nikki Bella, and AJ Lee. All SmackDown got is Julia, Kiana James, and Lash Legend. It's like comparing ice cream to horse manure. And I have nothing against Julia. Yeah, it's not even. It is not even at all. Billy, what's up, brother? $10 super chat. Happy Veterans Day to my brothers and sisters. Obafemi is back on NXT. Doing what, though? What is he back for? He took a nice little hiatus for himself. Jedi with a 5. Got Arc Raiders. It looks good, but with work, I only played like an hour of it so far. Off tomorrow. Gonna grind. Any tips for solo runs? See you topside. I am very addicted to this game. I have actually replaced Destiny with it for the time being until they get their shit together. Solo runs, my only suggestion is do not linger, get what you need, and get out. And actually, you know, a lot of people have said that it's been pretty rough for solo players. I've run into nothing but friendly players, and one of them actually helped me with a mission last night. So I would say just get in and get out. Keep it very simple. Don't stray too far off. Make sure you plan where you're going to go and make sure there's an extraction point on your way. That's all I can tell you.
From what I can see, apparently at the very end of the show, they played his music. It looked like he was about to make an entrance, and then the show just cut off.
Is that the way they do cliffhangers nowadays?
I guess so.
I guess Ricky Saints beat Trick Williams in the last minute standing match?
I would, well, I'll check right now.
Jedi, thank you, brother. Alex with a 5. Is the old Nakamura gone? Do you guys have any favorite or memorable matches from him either in WWE or New Japan? Yes, he's gone. He's been gone since he got buried by Jinder Mahal. And favorite matches from him in WWE, I can't really pinpoint one outside Sami Zayn. I take over Dallas.
I was at that match. So, I mean, the atmosphere in the building was...
It had to be incredible.
Off the charts. Yeah, I mean, they was just off the charts. So that to me is still number 1. And yeah, I don't really know what number 2 would be. I mean, the matches with AJ in WWE were pretty underwhelming. Although it's funny, they got progressively better. I think their WrestleMania match may have been the worst. And then they got a little bit better, but I go back to the match they had at Wrestle Kingdom years before. If I had to go for a number 2, that would be my number 2.
My guy, Dr. Evil Genius with 35 months. What's up, brother? Hope you and the ladies are well. Coming to you live from the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Cozumel, Mexico. Always repping OTS anywhere I am in the world. Thank you, brother. Hope you are very well and enjoy yourself, please. And be safe. Sean Waters with a 5. It's so baffling of Triple H black and gold NXT creative to WWE main roster creative. There are obvious differences, Sean. I mean, he was running one show with a set roster where they taped one full month of television in one 4-hour block. So he had all the time in the world to construct and plan and devise. You know, it was just a different animal. Now he's booking week to week. Got live television every week. The only thing that was live about NXT was their takeover shows. I don't know where the fun went. That's the problem that me and Jason were talking about earlier. There's no fucking fun. None of these shows are fun. It feels like it's almost a chore for them to put these shows together. Bossmo Jackson with the 199. We are in lifeless depression era of wrestling. What did you call it? The ruthless depression? Is that what you coined it?
I called it the ruthless regression era. The word right now.
The ruthless regression era. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Bad Trips with a 5. All I want for Cena's last match is for it to be not a squash. I'm worried if it is Gunther, it's just going to be a boring squash. Guys, Gunther doesn't have bad matches. Please stop disrespecting Gunther. I don't want to see him if he's wrestling for the IC title. But if it's not for the championship and Cena somehow drops it before then, we're going to get a great match.
Yeah, we already got this. We got the Cena squash at WrestlePalooza.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're not going to do that again.
No. Now, does Gunther need it? No. Do we all want it to be someone new and young and fresh? Yes. Lavelle with a 5. Between SmackDown and Dynamite, which one is more in dire need of a creative change, and which one would you and Jason rather be head of creative of? It's a very difficult question. They're both, to me, they're both awful. SmackDown may be worse right now, honestly. It may at least you get some entertainment value from Dynamite. Some. You get none from SmackDown. I would actually, I don't want to cut you off, but I would say I would want to be head of creative of Dynamite. I just think we'd have more fun over there. You know?
Probably would have the freedom to have more fun. But I mean, if you had real control, then maybe you would be less apt to play it safe.
Yeah.
As compared to the current regime, which I think is also very comfortable, having done the same thing for so many years. They have their way of doing things. I'd be blowing SmackDown up. I'm not even sure of everything I would be doing. I just know that it needs to be blown up and put the pieces in different places than where they are now.
Lavelle, thank you, brother. Kill Switch with a 5. Could Dom be the one to beat Cena and win his belt back? If Corbin can beat Angle in his final match and Roman can beat Taker's streak, why not? One very important reason, Kill Switch. No one during this run of John Cena has got a match twice with him in the same year. So why would they give it to Dom? I don't want to see that. I don't know how Jason feels about that, but...
Well, Roman beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. I mean, the streak was already gone at that point. But I mean, as far as could they do it? Sure, and it would be better than any of the ones that you just mentioned. But I think the likelihood of it being kind of a rerun is pretty low. And I don't think it should be. I think it should be, even if it is Gunther, it's a match we've not seen before.
Yep.
So I mean, that's what they should have an eye towards, is not, running something back that we already saw as far as the final match, but trying something different.
Boss Mo Jackson with a 199. What is the trajectory of Dawkins if Ford goes solo? Not far.
Yeah, pretty low.
Yeah. WrestleMess with a 199. War Games should end with Braun pinning Punk. I love it. Let's set it up for the Rumble. Punk versus Braun Breaker for the World Heavyweight title. As YouTube gives me, they're still on that shit. Just kind of shutting the stream down and everything crashing. Where was I? WrestleMess with a 199. Could you see Trick Williams and not Oba for John Cena? No. I
don't see that. I don't see that.
True Crime
he
with
just lost. He did just lose.
I think we see him on SmackDown. When, where, I don't know, but I think that's the next call up. True Crime Unleashed. Cross and Scarlett gave huge praise on The Miz. Listen, Miz is great. I just don't really care to see him on television as much as we have seen him in 2025.
Well, I mean, look, Miz has been there constantly, straight for almost 20 years now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Was it 2006 when he debuted?
Mm-hmm.
Going on 20 years.
Yeah.
After a while, it's like the magic isn't there anymore. I'm not saying he doesn't bring value. He's a great ambassador for the company, in the ring, out of the ring. But yes, I'm sorry, I cannot get excited for Jey Uso against The Miz.
No.
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna.
Jey Uso's advancing. What else is there to be said?
Yeah, I'm not gonna apologize for that. Like, just doesn't do much for me.
Maybe Melo gets involved and costs The Miz. I would have loved to see Melo beat The Miz in this tournament. It's the whole fucking basis of what John Cena's pushing here.
They should have Continental Classic rules.
Yes.
For this tournament where no interference is allowed.
No. Base Beers with the 2. Mercedes versus Vacant. For all the gold, Vacant wins.
Nobody's beaten Vacant.
No.
Vacant is undefeated.
WrestleMess with a 199. Bold prediction. Javon Evans beats Gunther and John Cena. Well, you are... Don't take it.
Good stuff.
Don't take it to Vegas, bro. Don't put that on the Vegas betting odds, please.
Dude, if you box that shit up that you're using right now, you can make a fortune off that stuff.
True Crime Unleashed with a 2. Heel turn is next major feud. The heel turn is the next major feud. Who's heel turn? Nikki Bella? Nathan Cox with a 199. Talk about JCW, bro. Russo is back. # Crash TV. Have you watched an episode of Juggalo Championship Wrestling, Jason?
I have skimmed it. I have not watched the entire episode.
Do you see yourself becoming a fan of the Juggalos?
I think the Juggalos have a very loyal fan base, and I think that hopefully they will continue to enjoy the product, because I got the impression from getting some emails from people who already watch that they were a little afraid of what might happen now that they have somebody new writing the shows. So I hope it all works out, but I don't see it as something that I'm going to be sticking with. On a
Well,
weekly basis.
I mean, I tuned in and I skimmed just like Jason has, and the ending of this past week's episode, someone got terminated from Juggalo Championship Wrestling because he was sniffing a line of something in the bathroom.
By Vito.
Yes, Big Vito. Yeah,
It was Big Vito. Yeah.
yeah. So that just to give you a basis of where we're going with the storytelling. That's what Juggalo Championship Wrestling is all about. I wish Vince Russo nothing but the best. He's been very incredibly kind to me this year. So I wish him nothing but the best. Listen, he wants to get back out there and do his thing. Let him do his thing, man. True Crime Unleashed with a 2. WWE cleared Liv return. Now Royal Rumble. Now return date. Liv Morgan will be back in the Royal Rumble. There's no real time to debut to return her before then. It makes sense in the Rumble. Furious Nation with a 499. What's up, JD Solo? Happy Veterans Day. Looks like to me NXT Gold Rush Part 1 looks better than Part 2. I'll be there live though next week at Madison Square Garden. I didn't even know what happened on tonight's show. I didn't look at anything that was happening tonight outside the Joe Hendry Thea Hale mixed tag team match.
Well, they're at Madison Square Garden for Raw, and I believe they're doing a show again at the theater at Madison Square Garden. But I think it's 2 weeks in a row, so I don't know if it's live from there 2 weeks in a row or if they're taping 1 week. But apparently that's going to be their Gold Rush special.
He also says, knowing TK, he'll probably introduce a Lucha Championship since he loves his luchas. Also, where's Keith Lee? Hopefully he's okay and gets out of AEW. Well, Keith Lee just celebrated a birthday this past week. So I don't know where he is, and he constantly has said that it's up to the powers that be, but he wants to be back. And I'm surprised we don't have a Cruiserweight Championship or anything of like that that in AEW.
Or a television title.
Television title, a middleweight title, or whatever, junior heavyweight championship. I mean, like Jason said, there's probably 6 or 7 belts in the fucking vault right now.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever. When the mood strikes,
yeah,
he'll just reach in and pull it out, and then we'll get another tournament.
Bays Beers with it too. Cody ain't getting that win back against Rock. Well, he says that we have not seen the last of the final boss.
Dude, you got to remember, we're only in the second inning. There's a lot of game left to be played.
This is one hell of a fucking rain delay, man. When's this ended?
It's a long delay.
Leopoldo with a 2. Top 3 what if WWE champs. Mine are Jake, Perfect, and Rude. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with those, honestly. Perfect and Jake are definitely up there for me. You got anybody want to add to that?
Perfect and Rude would be on the list. I mean, Piper.
Yeah, Piper, yeah.
Piper would be another one. I'm trying to think of one a little more modern. I know all the LA Knight fans are screaming into their screens right now.
Well, they loved our discussion last week. Some of them actually clipped the show last week saying that he should be the World Heavyweight Champion. See, these guys agree. Yes, we agree with you.
Yeah, I mean that would have been something different to do on that Saturday night's main event show, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know who else is there modern. I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to think of someone modern who it's like, man, what if? Like, man, that could have been like a difference maker, putting the belt on them.
Damian Sandow.
No, that wouldn't have made a difference.
Wade Barrett.
No.
That's a good question. We'll let you know, Leopoldo. Furious with the 199. What if Eddie Guerrero didn't pass away?
I think that there would be a whole generation of people who would have been sitting under the learning tree, learning from one of the best of all time.
Hey man, what an asset he would be to television. Just put him on TV with Dominic and Ed and Ray.
Oh, he'd be in the middle of this.
It's crazy. B Money with a 499. Just wondering if you guys have any thoughts on what Natalia said in her book about Vince and his actions concerning Tyson Kidd and his neck injury. I have no idea what was said there.
All right. Well, I talked about that on the podcast.
Oh wow.
Basically, I mean, the kind of the short version, she told a story about the night that he broke his neck in the match with Samoa Joe. And they were bothered. It really bothered him that Vince McMahon never reached out to check up on him and ask if he was okay. How are you feeling? You know, anything like that. And they were really, upset by it. So he wrote a letter. And I think if I remember correctly, they got something back. It was a situation where I think they were trying to cover their asses because they didn't want to admit fault for what had happened, and they actually threatened her that if they spoke about it, if she spoke about the whole situation, they would fire her. Something along those lines. So something really shitty and very cold. So she was more open about that than I thought she would be because she has a new book out. So she talks about it in the book. And yeah, I mean, that whole situation, there was no reason to react that way, but it was a very callous, you know what I mean? So she's very open about that.
And he is now one of the more prominent producers in all of wrestling, so
Yes.
he's doing very well for himself. Good for him. Hockey Phil with a 999. Hi, guys. Hi, Hockey Phil. JD, the song Do or Die is a banger. I'm just playing it for you right now, brother. Leopoldo with a 2. Top 3 best looking belts ever. Winged Eagle is my number 1. Yes, it's my number 1. Jason's number 1 as well.
Yep.
I have a very I love the old Intercontinental title, especially like the old school ones, the blue belt, the white belt. I love that design. And I love the old school tag team titles. I don't think there's been a tag team title since the old school tag team title. The WWF, like the Demolition tag team titles. Those are the best looking tag team titles ever.
Yep. Absolutely.
Bad Trips with a 5. We're still months away from WrestleMania, but will you do another roundtable with Santi Zap with Solo included? Love to see Solo and Santi interact. I don't know what I'm doing, bro. I don't even know what I'm doing next week. I'm just waiting for the year to end because everything just feels very lifeless and dull. And I'd like to start fresh, and I can't wait for Rumble season. I would love to get involved with others, but right now I haven't really given it any thought. Hockey Phil, new membership. Thank you, brother. Furious Nation with a 199. Who is Chris Jericho's best rivalry? I pick HBK. HBK is my pick as well.
Phil, a bunch of good ones. I mean, even the one with Rock was pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
He had a good one with Benoit. They had some great matches out of that. But as far as rival, it has to be Shawn. I mean, the stuff that they did, even that angle at SummerSlam where he punched Shawn's wife in
that was tremendous. Yeah,
in the mouth.
It was just a very vindictive Jericho, very evil Jericho. It was good.
But that again, it comes back to story because if you remember how that started, Shawn was lying about a knee injury, and the fans. He couldn't understand how the fans were cheering for this man, knowing that he was faking a knee injury. This is when Shawn was like wrestling or feuding with Batista. It started out of that. And then it led to eventually when he threw him into the Geritron, and that's how their feud started. So, and that played out over a period of like 6 months.
Yeah.
So I can't think of another Jericho feud that really had the time to play out like that, unless you want to include the stuff with Kevin Owens and the Festival of Friendship and everything that built to.
That was good too.
Yeah.
I'm going HBK. That was tremendous. Phil with a 499 just became a channel member for both channels. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Phil.
Appreciate that, man. Furious Nation with a 20. JD, I agree with you 100% that WWE being sold to Endeavor was never about selling the company. WWE was just fine under Stephanie and Triple H only. Vince just wanted ultimate power. Yes, I mean, that's a blind man could see what Vince was doing there. And now we see what Endeavor's doing to the company. Some of us anticipated it. We didn't think how bad it was going to be, but I just hope creative turns around next year because this year was awful. Lauren with a 40 months. TNT is the place to be. I cried when John Cena became Grand Slam champion. Deserving. Randy Orton just came back from vacation. Cody heel turn soon. Liv winning the Royal Rumble. I don't know if Cody's going to turn heel soon. I'd love to see it eventually before he retires, yes. And Liv winning the Rumble, she is definitely a top 3 pick for sure.
Yeah, Cody is not going heel soon.
No. Nima with a 2. They need to bring back Vito in a dress to help SmackDown.
Well, he's busy.
He's busy.
He's with the Juggalos.
He's busy being the Juggalos, yeah. Or being a Juggalo. Furious Nation with a 499. I really like Tegan Nox, but honestly, JD, I'm very disappointed in her. Like you said, she should have been more professional. Never burn bridges. Yeah, I don't know what happens to Alize, honestly. Tegan says she's got a year left. I don't know what she does. I wish them the best, but things could have been done better there. And last one here, $5 from the Crazy Men. Mello attacked Trick backstage to cost him the NXT title shot. Flipped the roles on the main roster. Trick wins the challenge and drops to Mello at Mania. Listen, if they're going to do that, like Jason's mailbag question, I'm all for it. Anything regarding that, like anything close to that, I like it because I enjoyed what they did on NXT, and I think that would be the life, some life, SmackDown could definitely benefit from. I think that's great. All right, man, we're done. We're about to get out of here. We'll leave it to this guy to sound. Oh, actually, no, we're not done. Alex Richmond with a 5. WWE West Side Gun story is what is it? Disheartening. There was a space in there.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute.
I'm like, what am I reading?
It changed the whole meaning of that super chat.
Disheartening. Not a good look for WWE treating a longtime fan like that. Yeah, again, we talked about it. We wanted to make mention of it. If there's anything else that comes out about it, we'll let you know. But there's really not a lot of information there for us to even talk about it. So we're just going to leave it as is. But thank you, Alex, for the 5. All right, guys, thank you for a great stream. I'm going to leave it to Jason to sound us off here. I'll get to you, Nation, in a second. Let Jason do his thing here. What do you got, brother? What do you got for us?
Well, I was just going to draw attention. Today, and I know it's already after midnight, but today was Veterans Day. So I just wanted to send a salute. I'm sure we have some veterans who watch this show and tune into our content. So I just wanted to thank them for their service, wish them a happy Veterans Day, and just a remembrance to all those who are no longer with us.
Yes. Billy in the chat specifically, we're thinking of you, brother. Appreciate you. Furious Nation with a $4.99. Can't believe it's almost 2 years since CM Punk has been back with WWE, and it's good for him. They let him go, and he's happy, and his wife is now on board, and that's all he ever wanted. He just wanted to be happy, so I'm happy for him. All right, guys, thank you very much for all of your support. We will be back next week. We got a big show at Madison Square Garden coming up on Monday. Hopefully, SmackDown is going to be a good one with this John Cena tournament kicking off. Remember, I will not be live, so you guys can go migrate over to Jason's channel. I will be at the Miles Kennedy concert on Friday in New Jersey, so he will get you guys covered on everything happening on SmackDown. And then Blood and Guts. We'll definitely talk about that next week right here for episode 121 of TNT next Tuesday, 8:30. Have a good night, guys, and we'll see you then.